For Bai Yue, the concept of a warm home is a hollow question she can't answer. Her life has been a void since she was 9, when her parents abandoned her with false promises, leaving her to plead with their retreating backs. In that cold institution, she lost her freedom, her health, and her hope, spending her days staring out at a world she couldn't reach. Finally gathering the courage to escape, her desperate bid for freedom ended in an accident, as she was pulled into a swirling vortex of water and light. When she awoke, her reality had shattered. A shudder of disbelief ran through her as she found herself in a world of beastmen, surrounded by strange men with fox ears and wolf tails. The situation was beyond comprehension, but the true horror dawned on her when a handsome wolf man selected her. In this twisted world, humans were nothing more than pets. This new master, however, seemed perfect. A top-level expert, a future leader, and impossibly powerful. He cared for her meticulously, insisting she eat with him, play with him, and even taking her shopping. He even hired a burly bear man as a pet caretaker. For a fleeting moment, living as their pet felt like salvation, a chance at the warm home she always craved. She thought she could finally live happily with her new family forever. But this fragile dream soured when her master, Gyugyo, leaned in to kiss her, confessing his feelings. And the nanny tenderly kissed her hand with a similar vow. She wasn't a pet, she was something else, and the confusion was overwhelming. The wolf master simply held her close, telling her not to be afraid. But fear was all Bai Yue knew. She recalled how she once desired love and freedom above all else, only to be thrown from one cage into another. She awoke in a stark white room filled with dazed, scarred people, a place even more brutal than the sanatorium she'd fled. She couldn't remember how she got there, only the memory of being swallowed by a glowing whirlpool on the river. Desperate and resolved, she vowed to escape again. After startling a drooling child, she introduced herself as Bai Yue, but her questions were met with blank stares. It was then she saw the sign, Beastman Sustainable Development Center. The name struck her with pure dread. Was she a test subject? Her panic exploded as she suddenly felt phantom bunny ears and a tail sprout from her body, imagining them injecting her with strange potions. A towering wolf-like shadow suddenly appeared on the wall, its presence both terrifying and strangely familiar. She felt its gaze on her, an unseen connection that made her skin tingle. The door clicked open, and a man with twitching fox ears entered, confirming her worst fears. This was a world of monsters, and she was the specimen. Her heart pounded as a second, far more imposing wolf man stepped into the room. She debated begging for her life, but seeing the silent, vacant humans around her, she realized speaking would only make her a more interesting prize for their experiments. But it was too late. He had already targeted her, gently covering her with a soft, hooded cloak. He spoke her language, his voice a low whisper telling her not to be afraid, that he would take her home. She looked up, stunned, recognizing the energy radiating from him as the same as the wolf's shadow on the wall. But the fox man protested, arguing that she was a weak female found abandoned in the wild, destined only for the breeding department. The words hit Bai Yue like a physical blow. The alternative to being this man's pet was being a breeding machine in a cage. The fox man insisted a top-level warrior like him deserved better, pushing for her to be sent away. In a surge of pure, unadulterated desperation, Bai Yue lunged forward, grabbing the wolf man's ears and pleading for him not to listen, promising she could do everything and was absolutely his best choice, begging him to pick her. The tour begins in the defective section, a place Brother Wolf is advised to skip as it's filled with nothing but flawed products. The fox-like attendant explains that these females suffer from severe genetic diseases, destined either for the breeding department for beastmen who can't afford better, or simply to be euthanized after losing their fertility. But Lang Xiao is unimpressed with the standard options. He desires a partner who is not just healthy, but intelligent and able to communicate. As they continue, a frail girl in a simple green dress is urged along by a guard. And for a fleeting moment, her eyes meet Lang Xiao's with an impossible clarity. He freezes, captivated, asking if she can see him. The attendant dismisses it, explaining it's one-way glass and she's just looking at a wall. But Lang Xiao feels a pull he can't ignore. He suspects her action was subconscious, a gut feeling telling him she's different. To test his theory, he places his hand against the glass, and his breath catches as her small bandaged hand rises to meet his, perfectly covering it from the other side. In that instant, he knows. He tells the attendant that she can communicate and that she is the one he will take. Inside, the girl Bai Yue rushes to him, excitedly touching his wolf ears, a warmth spreading through Lang Xiao's chest as he feels her acceptance. The attendant, however, is flustered, revealing that the girl is on sedatives to treat a specific illness and control extreme behavior. A fractured memory rips through Bai Yue's mind, her parents abandoning her at a sanatorium, their pleas for her to be good echoing as she screamed that she wasn't sick. They decided it was safer to keep her locked away, a decision that sealed her fate. Terrified of being sent to the breeding department, she clings to Lang Xiao, deciding her only hope is to act like a devoted pet to this powerful beastman. She snuggles into his chest, trying to convey her loyalty and enthusiasm. But when the attendant mutters about her likely mental illness, she snaps, launching herself at the fox with a vicious snarl, transforming into a fierce protector. Lang Xiao smirks, telling the attendant she only shows aggression to those who badmouth her, his decision now unshakable. He tells the attendant to prepare the paperwork immediately. The mention of more medicine sends a wave of panic through Bai Yue. She recalls the horrible side effects, the hair loss she fights by secretly skipping doses, and she internally screams that she won't take any more medicine. Her new plan forms instantly. She'll let this wolf take her out, then find a way to escape. But Lang Xiao's next words stun her into silence. He rejects the sedatives, stating that with him there, her safety is guaranteed no matter how excited she gets. He declares he won't give her any more medicine, and a genuine smile graces his lips, leaving Bai Yue to wonder if she could possibly trust him. At the counter, the price is set at 10,000 contribution points, an amount so low Lang Xiao glares, making the attendant stammer that it's the cheapest price available. He explains that a female with the intelligence of a 5-year-old is priceless, something the center has only managed to produce once in a century. The revelation hits Bai Yue hard. She understands now that her own intelligence is an anomaly that must be hidden at all costs. Lang Xiao dismisses the attendant's talk of discounts, turning to Bai Yue and telling her gently that she is priceless to him. He decides to name her Gyugyuo after a resilient fruit, hoping she will live with the same tenacity. The pet-like name is registered without issue, and with the paperwork complete, he sweeps her into his arms, whispering that they're going home and from now on she is his partner. Outside the development center, a massive crowd of beastmen have gathered, all eager to join the team of the legendary Lang Xiao now that he has finally chosen a female. He is lauded as the top elite, the strongest contender for the city's next leader, and his choice is a monumental event. As the doors open, a powerful tiger beastman pushes forward, but his eager expression collapses into disbelief when he sees the frail Gyugyuo. He blurts out how terribly skinny she is, worse even than the females from the breeding department. The crowd's admiration curdles into mockery, but their whispers are cut short by a low growl from Lang Xiao. His eyes burn with cold fury as he pulls Gyugyuo closer, his protective rage so palpable it sends the entire crowd scattering in terror. Gyugyuo watches them flee, a new anxiety blooming in her chest as she wonders how much trouble she'll be. As they walk away from the now empty plaza, Lang Xiao senses one persistent follower. He whirls around, his voice sharp as he tells the figure to stop following him as he has no need for teammates. Before them stands a formidable man projecting the immense aura of a black bear, his quiet intensity a stark contrast to the rowdy crowd from before. The wolfman's Lang Xiao rejects the bearman's offer of help, stating curtly that Gyugyuo needs care from him and him alone. With a sharp glare, he warns the persistent beastman not to follow them, making it clear he won't be polite a second time. Turning his back, he holds Gyugyuo closer, declaring that all he wants is to live peacefully with her, pleading for them to be left alone. In his arms, Gyugyuo has a sudden epiphany. The bearman and the others were meant to be her sitters. A wave of pity washes over her as she concludes her new master must be desperately poor, which explains why he always buys the cheapest pets. She steels herself, deciding she doesn't mind a poor home, even as the bearman watches them leave with a look of profound sympathy. But her assumptions are shattered when they arrive not at a hovel, but a luxurious modern home, and she realizes with a shock that her master isn't poor. He's just incredibly stingy. The moment Lang Xiao opens the door, her eyes widen in terror at the sight of a massive living pitcher plant right inside the entrance. Overcome with a mix of fear and curiosity, she darts forward, ignoring Lang Xiao's warning not to run around. In an instant, the plant springs to life, its vines whipping through the air directly towards her, causing Lang Xiao to scream her name in panic. Later, in the safety of a bedroom, he comforts the shaken Gyugyuo, assuring her that he's already taught the plant a lesson. Indeed, the once menacing plant is now tied up and looking utterly defeated. Gyugyuo can't help but wonder why anyone would keep such a dangerous thing in their yard. Musing that this world is bizarre with animals roaming the streets instead of cars, yet the air is unbelievably fresh. As she puzzles over what could possibly be purifying the atmosphere, Lang Xiao gently cups her face. He tells her softly that he is going to tell her his name now and that it's crucial for her to learn it. Gyugyuo's mind races with the practical possibilities, imagining how convenient it would be to summon her owner for food and drink. He reveals his name as Lang Xiao, but as he gently holds her jaw, urging her to repeat it, a horrifying thought strikes her. What if most people in this world can't talk? Repeating his name would expose her as an anomaly, a priceless spectacle to be put on display. Deciding it's far too risky, she chooses to play dumb, staring at him with wide, vacant eyes. Lang Xiao sighs, concluding he was too impatient and pats her head, saying they'll learn slowly. Just then the doorbell chimes and he leaves to get her supplies, telling her to play on the bed. The moment the door closes, Gyugyo collapses in relief, realizing she almost destroyed herself with that one mistake. Exploring her new freedom, she discovers the bed is incredibly soft and begins to bounce uncontrollably with pure joy. Lang Xiao bursts back in, alarmed by the noise, only to find her gleefully bouncing, and he smiles, commenting on her energy. She bounces until she's exhausted and promptly collapses into a deep sleep, much to his surprise. She wakes up submerged in warm water, disoriented and comfortable. But her peace shatters when she opens her eyes and sees a giant fluffy wolf sitting in the bath with her. She lets out a terrified shriek. In her panic, she slips on his slick fur and plunges underwater, choking on bath. As she flails, convinced she's about to drown in a bathtub, a pair of strong hands pulls her to the surface. The soapy water stings her eyes and she rubs them furiously. Lang Xiao calmly tells her to move her hands so he can rinse them, but she's mortified, acutely aware of her nakedness and demanding he hurry so she can escape. He calmly rinses her eyes with the shower head, but when she complains it still stings, he leans in and licks her face clean with his tongue. Utterly flustered and enraged, she shoves him away, screaming at him to control his canine instincts. She tries to scramble out of the tub, but her body is weak and the walls are too high. A crushing sense of despair washes over her as she realizes her predicament. She is trapped, utterly powerless in a world full of strong, fierce beastmen she cannot possibly hope to survive in alone. With no other options, she resigns herself to her fate, understanding that for now, her only chance of survival is to rely completely on Lang Xiao and his protection. In a disorienting splash, Gyugyo finds herself in a bathtub with her captor, her heart pounding as she desperately tries to calm herself down. She reasons that she's just a pet now, so he won't do anything worse, comparing this humiliating situation to bathing a dog, but the logic falters when she questions why he has to be in the tub with her. Lang Xiao, the wolf beastman, notices she's settled and explains that females need to bathe often to stay hygienic, especially after giving birth, a comment that sends a jolt of pure shock through Gyugyo. Her mind flashes to images of beastmen with their families, and while the thought of seeing more humans is appealing, the idea of being paired up for breeding is an absolute nightmare. Deciding they've soaked long enough, she suggests they start cleaning, only to see him produce a sharp knife with a confident smirk. The memory of what happened next is a blur of humiliation. After wrapping her in a pink onesie, he began blow-drying her hair, and she recalls with horror his attempt to shave her in the tub. The disgrace is too much to bear. A fiery resolve ignites within her. She can't stand this treatment, even as a pet, and she vows to fight back against this big bad wolf. Her fantasy of overpowering him is cut short by a loud growl from her stomach, immediately pausing her rebellion plans. Lang Xiao hears it, scoops her into his arms, and teases her for being a glutton before promising food, causing her eyes to sparkle with hope. But her dreams of a lavish meal are shattered when he presents her with a bowl of water containing what looks like wood chips, calling it nutritious heartwood. To her astonishment, he crunches on a piece himself, making her wonder if all beastmen are wood-eating vegetarians. Before she can process this, he offers her a pill instead, telling her the wood soup needs to soak longer. Her face falls in terror, it's medicine. She turns away, remembering his promise not to drug her, but he gently explains it's a bosom-enhancing tonic because she's too skinny. The explanation triggers a traumatic memory of being force-fed in a lab, and she refuses to eat it. Lang Xiao warns that refusal might lead to being force-fed, so Gyugyo quickly shoves the pill in her mouth, hiding it under her tongue while he praises her for cooperating. Seeing her chance, she points at a piece of wood, and as he turns to get it for her, she expertly spits the hidden pill into a piece of paper. Her relief is short-lived when he offers her a spoonful of the wood soup, revealing with a sly grin that they added fattening medicine to it. Gyugyo spits out the foul concoction in a spray of disgust. Horrified at the idea of being fattened up, she refuses to eat another bite. As he brings the spoon close again, she employs a new tactic. Her eyes well up with shimmering tears, a picture of pure misery. The trick works perfectly. Lang Xiao panics, throws the food away, and promises to take her to the mall for something delicious instead. Gyugyo smirks, realizing how easy his weak spot is to exploit. Just as they're about to leave, a hulking bear beastman blocks their path, the same one who was rejected for the nanny position. Lang Xiao instantly becomes territorial, pulling Gyugyo close and snarling that he won't share her with anyone. The bear reaches for her, prompting Lang Xiao's aura to explode with rage, a massive wolf spirit materializing behind him as he roars that the bear is no match for him. Panicked by the escalating tension, Gyugyo begs them to stop fighting. The bear ignores the threat, insisting he can give Gyugyo a better life and that Lang Xiao can't care for her alone. Lang Xiao scoffs, telling the intruder to get lost before he gets hurt, leaving Gyugyo to lament her master's stinginess. But as they walk away, the bear beastman's eyes narrow with resolve, vowing that he won't give up on protecting her. Lang Xiao carries Gyugyo into the opulent goddess mansion, a place she finds far more luxurious than the mall she remembers from before her time in the sanatorium. The scent of real food fills the air, and for a moment Gyugyo is overwhelmed with pure joy. When Lang Xiao asks what she wants, she eagerly points to the largest dragon fruit, ecstatic at the thought of finally eating something other than nutrient paste. Her excitement curdles into confusion when the shopkeeper places the fruit into a microwave, explaining it will bake for 3 minutes. She is utterly baffled by the decision to cook fresh fruit. The result is a warm, mushy pulp, and she internally sighs at the waste of vitamins, though she admits it's still a significant upgrade from wood pulp soup. Her struggles continue as she finds the gloves of her pink suit too clumsy to handle a spoon, and the suit itself is fused to her clothes, making it impossible to take off. She silently rages about the embarrassing crotch zipper, vowing to change these ridiculous customs once she understands this world's rules. Just then, an advertisement for female breast enhancement pills catches her eye, and Lang Xiao casually remarks that he fed her one at noon. The horrifying realization dawns on her: the medicine was this pill. A bitter irony washes over her. The psychiatric drugs from her past had ruined her body, but now this strange pill is exactly what she needs to appear healthy. A deer-like employee compliments her cuteness, but Lang Xiao immediately becomes hostile, grabbing the man and demanding to know who he is. The flustered employee explains he works at the clothing store and invites them in to see the new arrivals. Gyugyo is instantly captivated by a beautiful dress and asks to try it on. A sudden, chilling panic grips her as she realizes Lang Xiao will insist on dressing her, which would expose her ruse of being a simple-minded human. Her mind flashes with horrifying images of being strapped to a table, dissected and studied by these beasts. She knows she absolutely cannot be discovered. In a desperate move, she shoves Lang Xiao and bolts into the fitting room, tripping and slamming the door shut behind her. Lang Xiao is bewildered, but the dear employee laughingly suggests she's just playing hide and seek. A predatory grin spreads across Lang Xiao's face. He finds clever and lively females like her fascinating. As he approaches the door, Gyugyo frantically fumbles with her zipper, the clumsy gloves making it impossible while the precious pills lie just out of reach. He tries the handle, but it's locked. While the employee goes for a key, Gyugyo continues her desperate struggle inside. Lang Xiao loses his patience and simply kicks the door off its hinges with a loud crash. As they peer into the darkness, she finally gets her hands on the pill. He flicks on the light switch, revealing Gyugyo back on the floor, fully zipped into her suit and panting as if she'd had a terrible fright. Believing he scared her, Lang Xiao is racked with guilt, blaming his own incompetence and vowing to learn how to properly care for her. He gently asks if she still wants the dress, and after she agrees, he kisses her cheek, overwhelmed by her cuteness. Leaving the store, now wearing her new dress, they are spotted by a hulking lion beastman and his crew. The lion scoffs at Lang Xiao's poor taste in females, but orders his men to follow them. Lang Xiao takes her to a game room filled with other human females, all looking like young girls. He explains that he's going to a class on caring for females and that she should play here for an hour. Panic flares again, she desperately clings to him, begging him not to leave her alone. For the first time, Lang Xiao feels needed, but his determination to protect her is stronger. He knows he must learn, so he gently pries her off, promising to be back soon. Once he's gone, Gyugyo assesses her surroundings, deciding it's a safe enough place to investigate the situation of humans here. Her investigation is cut short when a large girl in a lion costume aggressively shoves food at her, knocking her over and mocking her for being dumb. The girl then reveals her true form, the lion beastman from outside, his power palpable. Gyugyo tenses, sensing an enemy of Lang Xiao. The lion continues to taunt her, calling her a useless purchase. As he crouches down, she defensively warns him to stay back. His demeanor shifts instantly to a sickeningly sweet smile as he invites her to play with her big brother. Thoroughly creeped out, Gyugyo tries to flee, but he grabs her arm. Ignoring her struggles, he scoops her into his arms and carries her away as his subordinates cheer. Gyugyo panics as a lion beastman grabs her, his subordinate warning him that Lang Xiao will be furious. The lion captain merely scoffs, asking if she's afraid before declaring he wants Lang Xiao to learn the consequences of rejecting him. She struggles desperately, screaming for the beast to let her go, but he simply notes her surprising strength for someone so thin. He then scoops her into his arms, casually offering her a dragon fruit, which sends Gyugyo into a rage. It's her fruit, and she's been starving ever since she arrived. She lunges for it, growling with frustration, but he easily restrains her hand, his grip like iron. A wave of dread washes over her. She realizes they're here for revenge, and if they take her away, she is doomed. She screams that she won't go, her sudden outburst and clear speech stunning everyone present. The beastmen marvel that she can talk so clearly, a rare trait for a female, while Gyugyo mentally curses herself for giving her intelligence away in a moment of panic. The lion captain smirks, remarking that it's no wonder Lang Xiao chose her, but coldly informs her that her fate ends here. Elsewhere, two beastmen debate the situation, one noting that Gyugyo looked terrified and didn't seem to know her captor, but the other dismisses the idea of kidnapping as illegal, insisting Brother Lion is too high-ranking and respected to break the law. But doubt creeps in when it's pointed out that over an hour has passed, and if everything were fine, Lang Xiao would have arrived by now. A continent away, a wall explodes, as a furious white wolf roars, demanding to know where the scumbag took his Gyugyo. Meanwhile, Gyugyo is being carried through a dark forest on the back of a strange beast, the bumpy ride making her feel sick. She overhears her captor's sinister plan. They intend to frame Lang Xiao for losing her, thereby forcing him to join their team. The lion captain gloats about the law, stating that if a female is lost, the center takes her back, leaving Lang Xiao with no choice but to beg to join their ranks to get another one. The thought of being sent to a breeding department fills Gyugyo with horror, and she resolves to escape at any cost. The farther they go, the harder it will be to return. But then she gets an idea. She starts tickling one of her captors named Yuen, creating a distraction, and pretending to play with him to avoid suspicion. Their game is cut short when a subordinate rushes in, announcing that Lang Xiao is chasing them. A wicked grin spreads across the captain's face as he orders his men to hide her. His plan is diabolical. They will let Lang Xiao find her, at which point he will summon the leader as a witness, framing Lang Xiao for searching for a female he shouldn't have. His crew erupts in cheers, praising their captain's brilliance, while Gyugyo feels nothing but disgust for their despicable scheme. She needs to escape now, but she's trapped in a forest. Her eyes land on a dragon fruit tree and a new plan forms. She runs toward the tree, pretending to be excited about the fruit, knowing the beasts are aggressive but that her captors won't be able to resist. Just as she predicted, the captain agrees to pick some fruit for Yuen, and his entire crew charges the tree to help. Seeing her chance, Gyugyo quietly retreats, and then breaks into a full sprint into the woods. She remembers they traveled in a straight line, so she follows the path back, trying to avoid any traps. Her escape hits a snag when she comes to a fork in the road. She chooses the brighter path, but not before quickly carving a wolf's head into a tree as a marker. 10 minutes later, she's exhausted and starving, leaning against a tree to catch her breath, when she feels a terrifying presence watching her from the shadows, a single red eye piercing through the darkness. She spins around, demanding to know who is there, her heart pounding in her chest as she stands alone on the path, completely vulnerable. Deep within a silent, unnerving forest, Gyugyo wonders if the stress is making her hallucinate. She touches a tree, only to recoil in shock as she sees the exact same wolf mark she had made earlier, a horrifying realization dawning that she's trapped in a loop. Suddenly, the scent of her pursuers grows stronger, and a massive wolf named Bai Yue sniffs the air, knowing he's close. He spots a group of beastmen and lets out a furious snarl, recognizing them as the scoundrels who lost her. An explosion of rage sends one of them flying as Bai Yue slams him against a tree, grabbing him by the collar and demanding to know where she is. The terrified lion beastman points into the ominous woods, stammering that she was eaten. Meanwhile, at the leader's residence, an advisor reports that Bai Yue's team is at the location of the great banyan tree, a festering sore that has plagued the city for decades. Its branches create a deadly maze that consumes any creature foolish enough to enter, and every team sent to suppress it has failed. The leader is perplexed, knowing Bai Yue should be smart enough to avoid it, and orders 50 strong men to set off at once. Back in the cursed forest, Gyugyo tries to rationalize her situation, believing she's encountered a powerful plant monster whose trunks are merely traps to confuse her. She realizes she needs to locate its main spirit body. But as she tries to focus, she discovers the horrifying truth. She's already inside a massive, moving banyan tree spirit, and the trunks are its roots and branches. She resolves to sneak away carefully, believing the roots are weak this far from the main body. But her hope is shattered as a vine whips down with terrifying speed. A sharp snap echoes as it clamps around her ankle, intent on killing her. Trembling on the ground, Gyugyo panics, wondering why it attacked her so suddenly. The vine yanks her across the forest floor, and as she desperately claws at the ground, she lets out a cry of pure despair for Lang Xiao to save her. Far away, Lang Xiao's group hears the bad news. Gyugyo escaped while they were picking fruit, but Lang Xiao's sharp senses tell him otherwise. He can still smell her scent, growling that she is still alive. Just as Gyugyo is dragged closer to her doom, the vine suddenly releases her. She looks up, her eyes wide with disbelief, as Lang Xiao and his companions descend from the sky like vengeful spirits, their bodies wreathed in fiery energy. Tears of pure joy stream down her face as she whispers his name. Lang Xiao, back in his wolf form, senses Gyugyo is nearby and knows they have to finish this quickly. Gyugyo tries to run to safety, but a sudden gust of wind throws sand in her eyes. A deep voice questions why a skinny female is alone, asking where her male is. She opens her eyes to see a towering lion beastman, his spirit body radiating an aura even stronger than Lang Xiao's. This must be the leader. He observes that the banyan tree's energy is weak and decides to watch from the side. But then grabs Gyugyuo, questioning how a female could be left alone in such a dangerous forest. Before he can get an answer, a massive explosion rocks the clearing, throwing everyone to the ground. From the smoke and dust, a silhouette darts out at incredible speed, followed by Lang Xiao and his companions emerging victorious. With a mighty howl, Lang Xiao leaps through the air, his body glowing as he transforms, and lands right in front of her. He pulls her into a powerful embrace, his voice thick with relief as he calls her name. Gyugyuo is overwhelmed by his enthusiasm, complaining that he's squeezing too hard. But her relief is short-lived. He pulls back slightly only to plant a passionate kiss on her lips, vowing never to let her get hurt again. The other beastmen are stunned into silence or blush at the inappropriate public display. Flustered, Gyugyuo pushes him away, telling him to stop his bad habit of kissing her all the time. But he just smirks, teasing that she's being naughty again before tugging playfully on her ear. As the crowd looks on with envy, one spurned lion beastman clutches a fruit to his chest, declaring that Gyugyuo is his. The tense moment is broken by the deep cough of the lion leader, drawing all eyes to him. The lion chief coughs, suggesting to Lang Xiao that some matters are better handled privately, but Gyugyuo is simply confused, wondering why all the beastmen are looking at her so strangely. She realizes their attitude towards pets is entirely alien to her, a mystery she resolves to investigate thoroughly when she gets the chance. Lang Xiao pulls her closer, asking what's wrong, but just as he proposes they head back, another beastman loudly interrupts, accusing Bai Yue of breaking the law by taking Gyugyuo without permission and putting her in danger. He furiously demands that Bai Yue be arrested and punished according to the law. The chief roars in confusion, while Bai Yue frantically denies everything, crying out that Lang Xiao is slandering him. He claims he risked his life to save the female Lang Xiao lost, a dramatic performance that the others see as a wild exaggeration. Lang Xiao grits his teeth, consumed by a feral urge to bite his rival to death, and declares he has proof that Bai Yue used his name to take Gyugyuo. Unfazed, Bai Yue smirks, announcing he has proof too. He projects a holographic testimony from an amusement park guard, who falsely confirms that Lang Xiao asked Bai Yue for help. Bai Yue feels a surge of triumph, proud of his preparation. And the crowd's opinion begins to shift, finding Lang Xiao's story more suspicious. They reason that a newcomer like Lang Xiao would be more likely to lose a female than Bai Yue would be to commit a crime. Gyugyuo knows they need to win the leader's trust to salvage the situation. Bai Yue plays the part of the wronged victim, kneeling before the chief and begging his uncle to stand up for him. The chief, seeing claims from both sides, pats Bai Yue's head and decides to conduct a careful investigation. Lang Xiao scoffs, knowing this is just a farce. Since his words are being ignored, he slams his foot down and declares they will settle this with a duel. He lets out a ferocious howl and transforms into his powerful wolf form, ready for battle. But he's immediately outnumbered as Bai Yue's allies step forward, transforming into a massive lion, a bear, and a snake. Lang Xiao snarls, preparing to fight them all, when Gyugyuo suddenly leaps from his arms and grabs the lion's mane, yanking with all her might. Lang Xiao is stunned, telling her to let go. But she knows this stupid wolf can't win alone and she has a plan. She turns to him and asks loudly if the bad lion stole her Gyugyuo food. The question hits Bai Yue like a physical blow and he begins to sweat, realizing her clever trap. Lang Xiao instantly understands and addresses the crowd, explaining that his female smells of dragon fruit, also known as Gyugyuo fruit. He then turns his burning gaze on the lion chief, questioning if this is how the lion tribe treats its females. The chief's face contorts with rage as he glares down at the trembling Bai Yue, demanding to know if Lang Xiao's accusation is true. Lang Xiao gently asks Gyugyuo if the lion stole her food, careful not to frighten her, while another beastman confirms that she definitely ate it. The chief softens his tone, patting Gyugyuo's head and asking who she was with before getting lost. This is the moment she was waiting for. Gyugyuo points a decisive finger right at Bai Yue and declares him the bad lion. The crowd gasps, amazed that such a small female can speak so clearly. In a desperate panic, Bai Yue shouts that she's lying and mentally unstable, thrusting out his hand to show everyone the bite marks she left. But Lang Xiao stands his ground, fiercely defending her, stating that Gyugyuo is perfectly fine and does not lie. He argues that her biting him is the very proof that Bai Yue forced and kidnapped her. Cornered, Bai Yue demands proof, and Lang Xiao coolly replies that he can provide it. But before he can, a tiger beastman steps forward, refusing to betray his conscience any longer. He declares he'd rather join Lang Xiao's team than work under Bai Yue, and exposes the entire plot. Bai Yue used Lang Xiao's name to take Gyugyuo and even arranged for fake security. As Bai Yue collapses to his knees, utterly defeated. The lion chief, his face a mask of disgrace and fury, roars that Yu has shamed the entire lion clan and orders the criminal to be taken away. With the drama resolved, the chief informs Lang Xiao that Yu has confessed. The ordeal is finally over, and Lang Xiao tells him he's taking Gyugyo home. Arriving at his place, they find a large, bare beastman digging gunk out of a blocked drain with his bare hands. The bear explains the problem and wipes his dirty hands on his pants, and Gyugyo watches him with a thoughtful expression, realizing how desperate he must be to secure a nanny position. She wonders if his earnest, hardworking nature might change Lang Xiao's mind. As Lang Xiao and Gyugyo enter the building, the bear watches them go, his face etched with disappointment, certain he has lost his chance. But just before the door closes, Gyugyo glances back with a look of pity and tosses a small snack which lands perfectly in the bear's outstretched hands. He stares at the gift in disbelief, his heart suddenly thumping with overwhelming joy, absolutely convinced that the tiny, precious female likes him. Lost in a haze of adoration, Xingyao remembers the moment Gyugyo offered him food, a gesture he knew meant she liked him. It was a small offering, as she confessed she was struggling, but it was enough to bind him to her. With a magical seal of light, he made a silent, unbreakable vow. His entire life now belonged to her and her alone. But in the present, Gyugyo is far from struggling, happily devouring a mountain of fruit and thinking how much better it is than eating wood. As Xingyao arrives with more supplies, Lang Xiao watches with a grim expression, remembering the suffering Gyugyo must have endured. The memory triggers a darker vision of another woman in peril, and a cold fury settles over him. He slams his fists on the table, vowing that he will never let Gyugyo fall into danger again. As he moves to leave, his eyes burning with fierce determination, Xingyao blocks his path, refusing to let him go. The bear man insists that the team needs help and demands to join them. His loyalty absolute. After a tense moment, Lang Xiao relents, simply telling him to come in. Inside, Lang Xiao announces to very full and content Gyugyo that Xingyao will be living with them from now on. Gyugyo is utterly baffled, wondering if Lang Xiao just hired her a nanny. Her confusion deepens when Xingyao rushes forward, pulling her into a bone-crushing hug. Having finally been accepted, Xingyao is ecstatic, determined to make the best possible impression on Gyugyo. Lang Xiao, however, ignores him, scooping Gyugyo into his arms and declaring it's time for her to rest. The ever-eager Xingyao asks if he can help, but Lang Xiao dismisses him coolly, annoyed by his enthusiasm and telling him to find a room and take a bath. Alone with Gyugyo in the opulent bathroom, Lang Xiao begins to wash her, a strange tension filling the air. He swallows hard, his composure cracking for just a moment, before he leans in and kisses her. Gyugyo's mind explodes in a pink cloud of shock. She tries to rationalize it as something owners do with pets, but her obsession with cleanliness rebels at the thought of a kiss on the mouth. Deciding she's been far too indulgent with him, she resolves to establish her authority once and for all. She stands dramatically in the water and commands him to kneel. For a brief, glorious moment, she believes he's intimidated by her powerful aura, feeling less like a pet and more like a fearsome tiger. But the mood shatters when a traumatic memory of her scarred face flashes through her mind. Lang Xiao then produces tiny pills, reminding her she forgot to take her breast enhancement medication. Horrified, she shoves him away, calling him a pervert. He grabs her wrist, trying to force the pills on her, but she erupts with a blast of energy that sends him stumbling back. Just as she screams that she'd rather die than keep washing, Xingyao bursts in, asking if he can help with anything. He freezes at the sight of her, a blush creeping up his face, prompting Lang Xiao to roar at him to get out and find the pills. Gyugyo hides herself, utterly mortified at being seen by two males and thinking that being a pet is terrifying. A moment later, Xingyao returns, knocking timidly before entering with the medicine. He's immediately flustered again by the sight of her in the bath, and as he tries to help wash her back, he fumbles and drops his head right into the water. Lang Xiao, losing his patience, snaps at the flustered bear man to give Gyugyo the medicine. Panicked, Gyugyo reluctantly opens her mouth, just wanting the ordeal to be over. As her lips brush against Xingyao's finger, he's struck dumb, a jolt running through him. He stands there in a daze until Lang Xiao orders him to get more water, and then furiously dismisses the unruly guy. Xingyao flees the room, collapsing outside as he clutches the finger she touched, realizing that following Lang Xiao was the best decision of his life. Inside, Lang Xiao concludes that the impulsive bear cannot be trusted alone with Gyugyo. Now that they finally have some peace, Gyugyo happily plays with soap bubbles. Lang Xiao then presents her with the beautiful crystal from the banyan tree, asking if she likes it. He dangles it before her, promising it's hers if she calls him by his name. She scoffs, calling him a dumb wolf. He corrects her, asking her to just call him Xiao, his heart pounding with anticipation. But instead of speaking, Gyugyo snatches the gem and pops it into her mouth. As the ice-cold crystal begins to melt, Lang Xiao's face drains of color. He panics, screaming at her to spit it out, warning her that eating a crystal like that could make her explode. Lang Xiao panics, squeezing Gyugyuo's cheeks as he demands she spit out the crystal she just ate. His mind races with the possibility that it could be poisonous, frantically checking her mouth to see if she swallowed it. Gyugyo, though startled, reassures him that it's fine, explaining she swallowed a transparent, non-elemental crystal. Lang Xiao's fear subsides, but he immediately launches into a serious lecture, warning her to never eat the colored elemental crystals. He explains those are for beastman training, and for a non-beastman like her, consuming one would be catastrophic, likely causing her to explode. Having delivered his stern warning, he finally rinses her off, finishing their bath. The day's events leave Gyugyo feeling utterly exhausted, and she quickly drifts off to sleep. As she sleeps, a strange vision floods her consciousness. A torrent of energy pouring into a crystal, giving rise to ethereal forms of a wolf and a woman. The energy coalesces into a glowing female silhouette, her eyes wide open. Gyugyo wakes with a sigh, feeling as though she had a wonderful nap. She sits up, wondering where Lang Xiao went, but then a strange sensation stops her cold. From her own bed, she can suddenly see the other rooms in the house, a strange, tentacle-like energy extending from her perception. Wondering if she's still dreaming, she focuses, sending the tentacle of energy through the house, noting that it disappears once it reaches the yard. A shocking realization dawns on her: this must be her own mental power. Before, she could only perceive the mental power of others, never her own. It had to be the non-elemental crystal she ate that caused this massive breakthrough. A fire of determination ignites within her. If she can keep developing this power, she might finally be able to survive in this world on her own, no longer a pet for the beastmen. Feeling more energized than ever, she hops out of bed and notices a tablet with a message from Lang Xiao. He and Xingyao have gone out for a bit and will be back in 2 hours. Gyugyo checks the time. It's 2 p.m., meaning she has at least an hour of precious alone time. She throws her arms up in celebration, ecstatic to finally have a chance to investigate this world properly. She feels like the luckiest person alive. Meanwhile, at the Beastman Administration Bureau, Xingyao is about to finalize his registration to become Gyugyo's legal partner. But Lang Xiao stops his hand, questioning if he's having second thoughts. He then lays down his draconian terms. All of Xingyao's property and future income will be transferred to Lang Xiao's account for management. Lang Xiao declares himself the absolute leader of the household, forbidding Xingyao from getting close to Gyugyo without permission and stating he'll leave with nothing should he ever decide to part ways. Xingyao clenches his fist, realizing this isn't a threat but a test of his resolve. Lang Xiao smirks, thinking he's already hesitating, but is shocked when Xingyao loudly declares that he is willing. He explains that he's read all the rules and decided after careful consideration that he wants to help take care of Gyugyo. Seeing his sincerity, Lang Xiao relents, warning him to remember what he said. They complete the registration, and Xingyao officially becomes a team member in their household. Lang Xiao is stunned to see Xingyao's savings are massive, enough to buy a top-quality female. As they leave, Xingyao suggests they go back, but Lang Xiao says there's no rush, as females usually nap for hours. He then informs a flustered Xingyao that he's booked them both into a female nurturing guidance class to teach him how to control himself. Just then, a message appears on Lang Xiao's terminal, and his expression instantly darkens. Back at the house, Gyugyo has torn the place apart, searching for information among scattered books. She discovers that beastmen are locked in a desperate struggle for survival against mutated plants that now occupy most of the land. Frustrated, she can't find any history books or information about humans, and the computer is locked behind a fingerprint scan. As she stares out the window, a small bird lands on the railing, and she idly thinks how dangerous the world outside the city must be. In a horrifying instant, a green vine whips out and snatches the bird from the air. Simultaneously, Lang Xiao receives the alert that Gyugyo is awake far too early, and a wave of pure dread washes over him. Fearing a home invasion, he abandons all composure and sprints back. He smashes through the gate. To find his worst fears realized, Gyugyo is trapped in the clutches of a monstrous plant. He roars in fury, launching himself forward and tearing her free from its grasp. Holding her trembling body, he notices her lips are turning purple and realizes with sheer terror that she's been poisoned. Without a moment's hesitation, he bolts towards the hospital, a desperate streak of motion against the city skyline. Lang Xiao bursts into the hospital like a storm, cradling Gyugyo in his arms as he screams for doctor to save his female. He frantically explains she's been poisoned, and they are rushed into a treatment room where the medical staff immediately activates the instruments. Lying on the bed, Gyugyo feels perfectly fine, quietly wondering if the pitcher plant is really that toxic. Lang Xiao anxiously tells the doctors she was caught by the plant at their home. A bear-like doctor calmly notes that the plant's toxicity is low, but another adds that it affects females differently, so they should prepare an antivenom just in case. After a quick checkup, the doctor decides a blood test is needed to confirm the level of poisoning. When he suggests taking off her clothes to draw blood, Gyugyo flushes with panic, realizing with horror that she isn't wearing any underwear. As she quickly insists they can just roll up her sleeve, extending a delicate hand that mesmerizes the beastmen with how fair and fragile it looks. This fragility becomes a point of contention when Lang Xiao explodes at the doctor for nearly cutting her glove, berating him for his carelessness around her delicate skin. The doctor frantically checks for any injury, while Gyugyo wonders if humans in this world are truly so frail. Lang Xiao, now convinced the pitcher plant is a menace, sees that it must have bitten her and vows to have it destroyed. The blood sample is quickly taken and sent off to the lab for immediate results. Gyugyo inwardly scoffs at the silly wolf for making such a big fuss over a simple blood draw. But her attention shifts as she notices a strange pattern in the hospital. All the doctors and nurses are male beastmen, and all the patients are human girls. A chilling thought dawns on her. Could it be that in this world there are no female beastmen or human males? Her mind spirals, picturing herself in a wedding dress being carried by Lang Xiao, a notion she immediately dismisses as a terrifying biological impossibility. Her existential crisis is interrupted by the doctor explaining that the crying women outside are just cold, reminding Lang Xiao how fragile females are in Peace City. The doctor then eyes Gyugyo's slender frame with disapproval, telling Lang Xiao she's far too skinny and needs to be fattened up to be healthy like the other chubby females. The suggestion of weight gain supplements and even diapers for sick females sends Gyugyo into a rage. Leaping to her feet, she performs a series of high-knee exercises to prove her fitness, insisting she doesn't need any supplements. The doctor, completely misreading the situation, diagnoses her with an overexcited mental state and decides to prescribe sedatives instead. Horrified, Gyugyo refuses any medicine, leaving Lang Xiao utterly baffled by her behavior. He concludes the pitcher plant's toxin must be affecting her mind and anxiously asks when the test results will be ready. The report finally arrives, and the doctor's face turns pale with shock as he reads it. He trembles, muttering that he's never seen anything like it. Lang Xiao's heart sinks, demanding to know if the poisoning is serious. But the doctor reveals the astonishing truth. Gyugyo is perfectly healthy, with no trace of poison, and her report is the healthiest he's ever seen. Overjoyed and relieved, Lang Xiao triumphantly tosses a stunned Gyugyo into the air, declaring her the healthiest female alive. As they leave the hospital, a system notification assigns Dr. Leopard as her personal physician, and Lang Xiao tells her to cooperate with him for future treatments. Gyugyo agrees, but only if they don't force weight gain supplements on her. This reminds her of the pitcher plant, and her question about it triggers a sudden, dreadful memory of the state she left their home in. They arrive to find the living room completely ransacked. Lang Xiao's expression darkens, suspecting a break-in, but a quick sniff of the air reveals only Gyugyo's scent. She nervously confesses the mess is hers, explaining she was about to clean when the plant attacked. Lang Xiao's face turns stern, determined to teach his naughty female a lesson. He towers over her, demanding to know if she made the mess. Seeing his anger, Gyugyo cleverly plays her trump card, fainting dramatically into his arms. The sight of her feigned helplessness instantly melts his resolve. He sighs, realizing he can't stay mad at her, and decides a gentle, loving approach is the only way to handle his Gyugyo, pulling her into a soft embrace. Lang Xiao tells Gyugyo to play on her own for a bit while he deals with the flooded bathroom, but she sits dejectedly on the stairs, wondering how the toilet could have possibly overflowed when she didn't do anything. A sudden horrifying realization dawns on her and she lets out a cry. The bathroom door bursts open and an enraged Lang Xiao storms out, holding the severed pink paw of her onesie and demanding to know if she cut it off herself. He towers over her, his voice dripping with fury as he asks who told her she could use a knife, lecturing her on how dangerous they are. Gyugyo flinches, intimidated by his fierce expression and wondering why he's so angry about something so small. On his shoulder, a tiny angelic version of himself argues with a demonic one, with the stern side insisting that rules must be set for Gyugyo's safety. His tone softens slightly as he asks if she dislikes the gloves, and she timidly confesses that she does. Internally, she fumes about how the paws are attached to her suit, completely restricting her hands and making her feel helpless. A wave of pure joy washes over her as she wiggles her newly freed fingers, ecstatic to finally have her hands back. Lang Xiao watches her innocent happiness with a gentle smile, a warmth spreading through his chest. He gives her a light smack on the head as punishment for her recklessness before swiftly pulling her into his arms. He leans in close, whispering that if she dislikes the gloves so much, they can just cut them all off. Overjoyed by his words, Gyugyo spontaneously kisses him on the cheek, declaring him the best master in the beast world. Lang Xiao is momentarily stunned, a blush creeping up his face before he melts into the affection, pulling her into a tight, possessive hug. Gyugyo finds the situation increasingly bizarre as he nuzzles against her, But the awkward moment is broken by a knock at the door. Thinking it's Xiong, she eagerly runs to answer, while a tiny version of Lang Xiao rages at the interruption. But standing at the door isn't their friend, but the lion beastman, Shi Yu, leaving Gyugyuo in a state of shock as she wonders how he got out of prison. Lang Xiao immediately moves to shield her, his voice a low growl as he confronts the lion for scaring Gyugyuo. Shi Yu scoffs, asking if his verdict was too lenient and clarifying he's only there because Lang Xiao's many enemies are causing trouble. Panicked, Gyugyuo scans the area for other beastmen, fearing an ambush. But her senses tell her the lion came alone. Shi Yu sighs, explaining he's not looking for a fight, he's just delivering fruit as part of his sentence. Lang Xiao remains unimpressed, spraying the fruit with disinfectant and telling him to bring something fresh next time, causing Shi Yu to roar in frustration that he's not a restaurant. Lang Xiao coldly reminds him of his crimes, kidnapping and robbery, and the absurdly light sentence of daily battle participation and fruit delivery, which makes Gyugyuo question the entire legal system of the beast world. A notification flashes, declaring that the victim is furious at the criminal's lack of remorse and is demanding a harsher punishment. The threat of a retrial instantly drains the color from Shi Yu's face. He immediately backpedals, bowing apologetically and offering to find whatever food Gyugyuo would like to eat, forcing himself to endure the humiliation. Lang Xiao dismisses him, saying he'll be notified of the decision later. As the lion leaves, Gyugyuo cheekily sticks her tongue out at him. Shi Yu notices her clever defiance, a stark contrast to the defective female he remembered, and a flicker of dangerous curiosity ignites within him. Before he can ponder it further, he's grabbed from behind by the massive bear beastman, Xingyao. Recognizing the kidnapper, Xingyao's eyes glow with red fury as he lets out a terrifying roar, promising that anyone who harms Gyugyuo will pay dearly. Shi Yu panics, pleading that he's already been judged by the law. But Xingyao simply blasts him with electricity and flings him away, telling him to come back tomorrow. Gyugyuo watches in awe, impressed by Xingyao's raw power. When he returns, she greets him with an enthusiastic hug, calling him amazing. Lang Xiao watches their interaction with a pang of regret, a flicker of jealousy in his eyes as he wonders if Gyugyuo prefers the bear beastman. Later, the trio sits down to eat, but Gyugyuo's face falls into despair as she's presented with yet another plate of grilled fruit. She's sick of it, internally screaming that she can't stand another bite of baked mush. She points desperately at a basket of fresh fruit, begging for a change. Lang Xiao finds her craving for raw food odd, making a mental note to consult a doctor about it, before proceeding to mash the raw fruit into a salad, completely missing the point and condemning her to a future of bland, cooked meals. A primal hunger for meat consumes Gyugyuo, so intense she takes a desperate chomp out of Lang Xiao's arm. Startled, he asks if she's angry because she wants meat. A sly grin crosses his face as he leans in, promising her plenty of meat later if she behaves herself. Gyugyuo, endearingly naive, immediately brightens up and agrees, leaving Lang Xiao to marvel at how easily he can bully her, though he admits to himself the feeling isn't too bad. But before any promises can be kept, the burly bearman swoops in and begins feeding Gyugyuo himself, an act of care that fills his heart with a warm resolve to work even harder for her affection. Once Gyugyuo is full, the diligent bear nanny goes to clean up, but not before Lang Xiao reminds him to mix the fattening medicine. The mere thought of it sends a jolt of pure rage through Gyugyuo. She internally fumes, wondering when that silly wolf will ever stop trying to fatten her up. Moments later, Lang Xiao approaches with the steaming bowl, gently blowing on the spoon. He tries to coax her into drinking it, but she turns her head away in defiance. He resorts to childish threats, warning that Dr. Leopard will have to give her a shot if she misbehaves, but Gyugyuo is unimpressed. She declares she'll only accept the breast enhancement pills, not this fattening concoction. Lang Xiao simply smiles, telling her she's already had enough of those for one day before forcing the spoon into her mouth, but she immediately spits the foul liquid right back into his face. Humiliated and furious, Gyugyuo bolts from her seat, calling for the bear's protection. The bearman's eyes widen in delighted shock, realizing that for the first time a female truly needs him. He rushes to her side as she cowers behind him. Lang Xiao angrily insists she has to take the medicine to strengthen her body, but the bearman stands his ground, blocking him. He firmly states that Gyugyuo dislikes the taste and forcing her will only cause a stress reaction. Gyugyuo peeks out from behind him, confirming she hates both the taste and its intended effect. Lang Xiao finally relents but announces he'll just have the agent made into pills tomorrow, certain she'll like that. The threat sends Gyugyuo fleeing to her room, slamming the door behind her. Lang Xiao is left behind as the bearman quietly muses that their relationship has taken a step forward. Later that night, Lang Xiao quietly enters her room to check on her. Gyugyuo pretends to be asleep, silently vowing to ignore him until he abandons his fattening scheme. Believing she's asleep, he gently slides into bed beside her, pulling her into an embrace and whispering for them to sleep together. Gyugyo's eyes snap open, her cheeks flushing as she thinks about how clumsy and clingy this wolf truly is. The next morning, she wakes up starving but remembers her fight with him. Peeking outside, she spots Lang Xiao training, effortlessly lifting a massive plant. She can't help but be impressed by his incredible strength and muscular physique, a sight that makes her heart pound in her chest. Just then he turns, having noticed she's awake, and asks if she's hungry. With a warm smile, he invites her to breakfast and then drops a bombshell. He's taking her to the amusement park. The words echo in her mind, unlocking a flood of painful memories from the 9 years she spent locked away in a sanatorium, dreaming of the freedom and fireworks she could only see through a barred window. The promise of finally experiencing that dream sends her into a frenzy of excitement, and she immediately starts running for the door. But Lang Xiao stops her, holding up a harness and insisting she needs to wear it before they can go. Gyugyo recoils in horror, thinking it's a leash or something even more embarrassing she's only read about in books. As she vehemently refuses, she stumbles backward and bumps into a small human boy, whose innocent, teary eyes look up at her in shock. Gyugyo's eyes widen as she bumps into a small child, only to be startled by the sight of his beast ears. The boy growls defensively, and his family quickly swoops in to protect him, mistaking her for a threat. The boy's father explains to Lang Xiao that his female wanted to play with the child but ended up scaring him, asking how he can make it up to them. The child's other parent dismisses it, saying his kid is tough and won't be scared before leading his family away. As they leave, Gyugyo wonders where the boy's mother is, noticing the absence of female beastmen. Lang Xiao watches her, thinking to himself that Gyugyo seems to genuinely like children and would make a good mother one day. He tries to put a harness on her for a rocking car ride, but she recoils in horror, internally screaming about this inescapable torture. They settle for a carousel instead. But as they walk through the park afterward, an uneasy feeling settles over Gyugyo. She realizes she's been wandering for a long time without seeing a single female beastman or a human male. A truly bizarre observation. Lang Xiao suddenly startles her, asking what she wants to eat. Her unease is instantly forgotten when they stumble upon a chicken coop. Her eyes sparkle with ravenous delight at the sight of potential food, and she immediately starts fantasizing about fried chicken, roast chicken, and stewed chicken, declaring that she wants it all. Lang Xiao swiftly clamps a hand over her mouth, hissing that she can't eat the animals here because it's forbidden in the beast world. Gyugyo fumes, calling him a big bad wolf for promising her meat only to say she can't have it. A wave of guilt washes over Lang Xiao. He admits to himself that he shouldn't have teased her. He tries to distract her with other treats, pointing out fruits and a hot sweet soup, but she scoffs that it's just fruit and wood chunks. Still, the steaming pot of soup gives her an idea. While Lang Xiao is buying it, she sneaks over to the chicken coop, her eyes gleaming with a clever plan. She finds exactly what she's looking for, an egg. A memory surfaces of a simple treat from her past, soft-boiled eggs made in hot water, and she realizes the boiling soup will be perfect. When Lang Xiao returns, she snatches the bamboo tube of soup from him, demanding it hot. She happily finds a picnic spot near the water, thrilled that eggs count as meat and she can finally eat. Lang Xiao suggests they play ball in the large inflatable orbs on the water. Gyugyo agrees, thinking it sounds fun. But the moment he tries to join her, she delivers a swift kick to his face. Floating alone in her orb, she declares she wants to play by herself. Lang Xiao grows suspicious and offers to hold her soup so it doesn't spill, but she panics, clutching the tube tightly. She knows if he takes it, he'll find the eggs inside. She insists she'll hold it herself, not caring if she gets sticky as long as she gets her meat. Lang Xiao, confused by her sudden possessiveness, reluctantly agrees but warns her not to open the lid inside. She nods sweetly, secretly planning to do exactly that. As she drifts away, he hears a strange rattling from the tube. From the shore, he and a guard watch her, seeing her eat something round and white. The realization hits him like a lightning bolt. She's eating unhatched eggs. In a blind panic, he screams at the guard to take him to the center of the lake. He bursts through the plastic of her orb just as she's about to take a bite of another egg, making her jump in shock. He roars at her to spit it out, reminding her that eating animals is illegal. He grabs her face, prying her mouth open, but then his tone shifts into a low, menacing purr as he leans in close, telling her that once the meat is in his mouth, he has no intention of spitting it out. The world freezes in a single forbidden taste as Lang Xiao savors the flavor of egg for the first time. His companion, Xiao, reels back in shock, shouting that the female Gyugyo is eating eggs. Lang Xiao calmly explains he simply sucked it out so she wouldn't swallow it and will handle the legal consequences. But inside Gyugyo's mind, everything is chaos. The clumsy wolf just kissed her. Soon, Xiao is marching a restrained Lang Xiao through the city. But the damage is done. Whispers erupt around them, gossiping about the female who dared to eat eggs at the amusement park. They recount the ancient law, a 2,000-year-old taboo born from a time when a great evolution nearly wiped out all animal life, making meat-eating a grave sin. Their chatter is cut short by the furious roar of a massive bear beastman, demanding they explain themselves clearly. Later at Lang Xiao's home, Xingyao checks on Guoguo, who is still shaken. Lang Xiao recounts the incident, and the memory of the kiss sends a fresh blush across Guoguo's face as she hastily retreats to her room. Alone, her mind spirals into despair. She had believed living as Lang Xiao's parasite would be a simple life. But now she's confronted with the beast world's harsh rules. Her fear conjures a horrifying vision of being dragged to a breeding center in a cage, forced to reproduce. Outside, Xingyao is losing his mind as Lang Xiao calmly asks him to catch a chicken for Guoguo to eat. The bear argues that it's illegal, but Lang Xiao is resolute, musing that if eggs were that delicious, chicken must be even better. He explains that the world has changed. Animal populations are now thriving, outnumbering beastmen, and that it is the law of nature for the strong to prey on the weak. He reveals Guoguo was found in the wild, likely already accustomed to meat, and that forcing her to be a vegetarian might cause her harm. Overhearing his declaration that he only wants her to be healthy and happy, Guoguo's heart is overwhelmed with emotion. She emerges from her room just as Lang Xiao gently suggests they start with fruits for today, taking her hand in his. Half a month later, their chicken hunt is an utter failure. In a dense sugarcane forest, Lang Xiao is brutally smacked down by an aggressive stork every time he tries to pounce on his prey. Xingyao explains to a concerned Guoguo that they've been trying for 10 days, thwarted by the bizarre symbiotic relationship between the violent sugarcane and the protected chickens. But as Guoguo nibbles on a piece of sugarcane, a sharp pain grips her stomach. At the same instant, Xingyao sniffs the air, his eyes widening in alarm as he detects the scent of blood. Believing it to be the work of hallucinogenic plants, he scoops Guoguo into his arms, determined to get her to an oak plantation for an antidote. Guoguo, writhing in pain, is horrified by a sudden vision of a crowd of beastmen staring at her, making her realize this is no illusion. As she begs to go home, her strength gives out completely. Lang Xiao returns to the chaotic scene, also catching the strange, bloody scent. He sees Guoguo clutching her stomach in agony, and as he takes her from Xingyao, the bear notices his hand is stained with blood. Pure panic overtakes Xingyao as he yells that Guoguo's bottom is hurt and they need a hospital immediately. Lang Xiao, however, simply looks down at the terrified bear with a gentle, knowing smirk, his heart swelling with pride as he thinks to himself that his Guoguo has finally grown up. Lang Xiao enters Guoguo's room, presenting her with a tonic meant to help with her menstruation. He gently asks if she's feeling better and she nods, admiring how responsible and attentive he is. Lost in the moment, she plays with her hair and Lang Xiao mistakes it for a sign of hunger, playfully touching her lips. The warmth of his fingers sends a strange feeling through Guoguo, a blush rising to her cheeks. Lang Xiao observes her rosy complexion, noting she looks much healthier now, smugly thinking his enhancement pills are working wonders. In a misguided attempt to check her development, he suddenly pinches her chest, causing her to cry out from the sharp, needle-like pain. He immediately apologizes, realizing he was too rough during such a sensitive time. Furious, Guoguo decides to teach the clueless wolf a lesson, grabbing his sensitive ears and declaring that even in the animal world, some places are off-limits. Lang Xiao gasps, a strange heat flushing through him as she touches his ears, leaving Guoguo utterly bewildered by his reaction. Deciding not to provoke him further, she pulls the covers over herself, but Lang Xiao's mood has shifted entirely. He grabs her wrist and forcefully pins her down on the bed. As she struggles, demanding he let her go, he leans in close, his face flushed with emotion. He suddenly confesses that he likes her. Guoguo's heart thumps in her chest as she tries to rationalize his words, telling herself it's just an owner's affection for a pet, a complete lack of boundaries between species. But as he gazes at her, calling her beautiful, she can't deny the intensity in his eyes. He leans in for a kiss, his intentions now unmistakably clear. Suddenly, the door flies open and Xingyao storms in, finding them in a compromising position. He pulls Lang Xiao off of her, scolding him for being too eager, revealing that he read a book that says you can't engage in certain activities when a female is on her period. Guoguo's eyes widen in shock at the implication, while Lang Xiao calmly retorts that he knows, and that he has plenty of patience. He declares his intent to prepare well so that Guoguo can joyfully become his true partner. The word partner shatters Guoguo's entire reality. Flashes of his meticulous care, buying her, feeding her, kissing her, replay in her mind. She's not a pet, she's meant to be his mate. After kicking a still lecturing Xingyao out of the room, Lang Xiao gently tucks Guoguo into bed, telling her to sleep well. As she lies there feigning sleep, her mind races, trying to comprehend her new identity in this bizarre world. The sound of tapping wakes her from her thoughts. She sees Lang Xiao sitting by her bed, typing on a computer. A surge of hope fills her. A computer is her key to understanding everything. Lang Xiao explains he was just looking up how to cook chicken for her and offers to leave, but she quickly says she wants to see too. He pulls her onto his lap to watch together. Thinking fast, Gyugyo distracts him by complaining that her stomach is hungry for meat. The plan works perfectly. He happily leaves to prepare the food, instructing Yao to catch a chicken. Seizing the opportunity while they're occupied, Gyugyo quickly gets to work on the computer. The machine is familiar, just like the ones in her old world. As she begins searching, desperate for answers, what she finds is a shocking history. 2,000 years ago, humans ruled the world, but their actions destroyed the environment. In a desperate bid for survival, they created a plant growth accelerator that went haywire, pushing humanity to the brink of extinction. Their last hope was to experiment with animal genes, transforming them into powerful beastmen. The beastmen fought back the plants, reclaiming land for the surviving humans. But their creations, physically and intellectually superior, soon grew tired of obeying. Fearing their power, humans destroyed the research labs, but the beastmen didn't care. They soon discovered a critical flaw. Only males had evolved, and they could only produce more beastmen by mating with human females. To ensure their survival, they began capturing human women and driving the men into the forests. Yet another problem emerged. The offspring were always male, meaning the species still couldn't continue. The ancestors found the last 3 surviving human males and used them to breed a new human population. However, over 2 millennia of inbreeding resulted in modern women having serious genetic defects and intellectual disabilities. This historical tragedy now serves as a constant reminder to the beastmen that only through cooperation can any race hope for a better future. Lang Xiao calls out to Gyugyo, announcing that the meat is ready and telling her to wash her hands. He finds her absorbed in a cartoon on the laptop, but is startled when she suddenly bursts into tears. Rushing to her side, he cradles her, anxiously asking what's wrong. He wonders if a nightmare or the cartoon scared her, gently trying to comfort her by offering some chicken. Just then, Yao bursts into the room, proclaiming the chicken is ready, but the sight of the bird is horrifying. It's completely blackened. Lang Xiao explodes in anger, demanding to know what all the noise is and sarcastically asking if he roasted the chicken with explosives. Yao defends his creation, insisting that only the skin is burnt because he forgot to pluck the feathers, but the meat inside is perfectly fine. Gyugyo ignores them both, grabbing a salt shaker as Yao tries to warn her against using too much. Lang Xiao, however, is touched, believing Gyugyo is thoughtfully adding salt because she remembered his own habit of using it on his food. After she seasons the chicken, Lang Xiao takes the first taste and his entire being lights up, his inner wolf howling with pure ecstasy. Yao, still skeptical, tears off a huge chunk for himself and is immediately stunned into a state of bliss, his inner bear roaring in approval. He declares the meat is unbelievably delicious and goes for another piece, but Gyugyo furiously snatches it back, reminding him the chicken was for her. Despite the squabble, they all enjoy the meal, and Lang Xiao declares that he can't believe chicken with salt could be so delicious. Inspired, Yao suggests they go hunting for more animals, but Lang Xiao has a grander vision. Since they've already broken the taboo against eating meat, they should explore all kinds of new delicacies. Gyugyo silently celebrates, realizing she has just opened the door to a new era of food for these beastmen, forming a culinary alliance. As she eats, she debates telling Lang Xiao the truth about her identity, but feels a growing unease around him now that she knows she's not just a pet. He suddenly leans in close, asking if she has something to say, causing her to blush and panic, thinking he's acting like a thug. He calmly points out she has food on her face and offers to wipe it off, but to shut him up, she shoves the chicken leg at him instead. Their meal is interrupted by Yao, who advises against hunting for now, reminding them that the monthly sacrificial ceremony is only 5 days away, followed by the leader's challenge. He urges Lang Xiao to prepare, but Lang Xiao is brimming with confidence, dismissing his rival Shiquan's 10-year winning streak by claiming that timing and luck can grant victory to anyone. Yao sees Lang Xiao's calm fearlessness and acknowledges why everyone believes he will be the one to finally end Shiquan's reign. Yao then asks Lang Xiao to look after Gyugyo while he's busy, warning him to be extra attentive with a smart female like her, even suggesting he lock her up to be safe. As he speaks, the sky outside darkens with an unnatural speed, and Lang Xiao grows concerned that the city's protective barrier might be weakening. That night, Yao's words about locking her up echo in Gyugyo's mind as she sleeps beside Lang Xiao's wolf form, resolving that she absolutely cannot tell them the truth. The next morning, she's awakened by a loud cracking noise and is stunned to find their entire yard has been overrun by a dense thicket of sugarcane. Yao explains that the barrier loosened, causing the wild growth, and that Lang Xiao has already gone to the altar to investigate. Intrigued, Gyugyo asks about the barrier, and Yao, eager to impress her, launches into a dramatic history lesson. He explains that their beastmen ancestors fought for survival against monstrous carnivorous plants that once dominated the world. Eventually learning to seal the most powerful ones away, these seals created protective barriers around their cities. And the monthly ceremony reinforces the seal to keep the peace. When Gyugyuo seems unresponsive to his detailed lecture, he worries it was too complicated for a female. But she had understood perfectly, nearly exposing herself before quickly feigning confusion and babbling nonsense about chicken poop. Completely fooled, Xingyao decides to tell her a simpler story instead, much to her internal agony. Before he can begin, a loud roar signals the end of the ceremony, and he announces that the leader's challenge is starting. He asks if she wants to go, and she agrees with sparkling eyes. They arrive at a massive coliseum, packed with beastmen from all over the city, a lively spectacle she hasn't seen in ages. Gyugyuo is immediately struck by an oppressive wave of heat, recoiling in shock as she realizes it's emanating from a massive, blazing altar. As they approach, the heat intensifies, coupled with an indescribable pressure that makes her uneasy. She peers over the edge, feeling an intense pull to check what's inside the fiery pit. Down below, a massive cauldron burns with an otherworldly flame. Yet despite the power radiating from it, Gyugyo can't sense a single living thing within. As she stares into the inferno, a vision of a fiery phoenix flashes in her eye, causing her to cry out in shock. Xingyao quickly pulls her into a comforting embrace, explaining that the dreaded white bone vine is sealed beneath the altar. He tells her not to be afraid. A monthly ceremony to refuel the flames has just ended, ensuring the seal is stable for now. But as Gyugyo looks at the ominous structure, she's overcome with a suffocating feeling of familiarity, a disturbing connection to the entity sealed with. The mood is shattered by the boom of fireworks, signaling the start of the next match. The captain, Lang Xiao, against a fierce lion beastman named Yu. Xingyao explains that Lang Xiao has already won 9 matches in a row. One more victory will secure his place in the top 10, giving him the right to challenge the leader. Gyugyo immediately panics, worrying that the bad lion will use underhanded tactics against the clumsy wolf. To give her a better view, Xingyao hoists her onto his shoulders, and from her new vantage point, the arena is crystal clear. An announcement rings out declaring that to ensure fairness, both contestants must remove all clothing and belongings. In the waiting area, Lang Xiao scans the crowd looking for his friends, a smile breaking across his face when he finally spots Gyugyo perched high above the others. But as he prepares, Yu makes his move, whipping his belt through the air like a weapon before the match has even officially started. Gyugyo screams, shocked by the blatant dirty trick. Lang Xiao's eyes burn with fury as he faces his opponent, seething that his scheming is unstoppable. Yu smirks, mocking that if Lang Xiao can't even dodge a belt, there's no point in competing at all. Enraged, Lang Xiao transforms, a furious wolf lunging forward. Yu grins, his provocation a success, sneering that being impulsive is a fatal flaw in the arena as he transforms to meet the attack. Their animal forms clash with a thunderous impact. From his throne, the beast leader watches with disdain, dismissing his advisor's talk of psychological tactics. He declares that with the power gap between them, the angrier Lang Xiao gets, the worse his defeat will be. But then a clear voice cuts through the din as Gyugyo shouts for the clumsy wolf to win. Hearing her cheer, Lang Xiao pauses, his wolf eyes widening. He lets out a defiant howl and lunges with renewed vigor, sinking his teeth into the lion's flesh. Gyugyo cheers triumphantly as the crowd murmurs about Lang Xiao's smart female. Feeling the unwanted stares, a protective Xingyao declares it's not safe and whisks her away to the female rest area. The oppressive heat vanishes instantly, replaced by a refreshing coolness that delights Gyugyo. From a safer viewing spot, they watch the fight resume. Yu lands a brutal blow, sending Lang Xiao staggering back. Gyugyo panics, certain he's badly hurt, but Xingyao calmly reassures her that Yu is much stronger and the outcome will be decided soon. The lion moves in a blur, his speed overwhelming. But Lang Xiao meets his charge with a howl of his own. He lunges for the neck, his teeth sinking into the lion's thick mane. Yu is confident his mane will protect him, but his face twists in agony as Lang Xiao's fangs bite straight through the flesh. The lion screams, frantically tapping out his surrender. The crowd erupts as fireworks celebrate Lang Xiao's 10th consecutive win. Back in his human form, Lang Xiao looks up into the stands, a triumphant smile on his face. Gyugyo thinks to herself that her clumsy wolf is quite impressive. They meet by the railing where Lang Xiao asks if she was scared, only for her to get flustered and demand he put on some pants. Xingyao hands over a towel and fresh clothes while Gyugyo covers her eyes. As he dresses, Lang Xiao dismisses the other beastmen as a warm-up, his gaze fixed on the leader's stand. He declares his only true opponent is the leader, Shiquan, explaining he doesn't care about the title, only about defeating Shiquan to become stronger. A chill runs down Gyugyo's spine. She senses that Shiquan is unfathomably more dangerous than Yu. She grabs Lang Xiao's hand, her voice filled with genuine fear as she tells him his life is the most important thing. Touched by her worry, he holds her hand tightly, promising her that this is a match for points, not life or death, and that he won't take any unnecessary risks now that he has her. As he pulls on his pants, he invites her to watch the next match with him. And Yao offers them sugarcane as they settle in together. With the final preliminary bout ending in a brutal clash between a lion and a bear, the real competition is about to begin. An official announcement rings out across the stadium, declaring that the top 10 challengers have earned the right to face the leader. The crowd roars, especially for the 3 Tiger Beast brothers who made it into the finals. But not everyone is impressed. One of the lion beastmen saunters over to Lang Xiao, taunting him and asking if he's too scared to get ready. Lang Xiao's companion retorts that with exactly 10 spots, they can finish this annoying spectacle and leave sooner, leaving the lion beastman fuming at being made a fool of. Lang Xiao himself just stares ahead, his mind completely focused on the coming battle, thinking that he can't wait to fight the leader. Meanwhile, the leader Shiquan is informed that it is time for his match. With an explosive burst of power that rocks the very foundation of the arena, the colossal beastman makes his grand entrance. He surveys the challengers with absolute dominance, asking who wants to go first. The once confident Tiger brothers now look completely terrified, a fact the lion beastman wastes no time mocking. When another challenger tries to push the lion forward, Gyugyo snaps at him, retorting that he doesn't dare go first either. Just then, Lang Xiao steps forward, shocking Gyugyo, who knows that taking the first slot is a massive disadvantage. With a confident smile, Lang Xiao gently ruffles her hood, rips off his outer robe, and declares that he's up. He leaps into the arena, landing in a predatory crouch. His body begins to morph, transforming into a massive white wolf that lets out a powerful howl. Not to be outdone, the leader Shiquan smirks as his own body erupts with dark energy, and he transforms into a gargantuan lion, easily twice Lang Xiao's size. The 2 beasts face off, the tension palpable. Lang Xiao knows Shiquan's pressure is even stronger than last year. He can't win head-on and must wait for the leader to make the first move. He begins circling his opponent cautiously, a tactic Shiquan finds amusing as he decides to play along. The 2 giants stalk each other in the ring, until the leader grows bored and unleashes a torrent of fiery spiritual energy, lunging forward with a deafening roar. From the stands, Gyugyo notices the strange aura, and a keener observer explains that while Lang Xiao's energy is a fixed layer, the leader's constantly radiates outwards, a sign of immense power. Shiquan dismisses Lang Xiao's technique as a petty trick. Lang Xiao darts forward, but the lion is far quicker, roaring that he's too slow as he swipes with his claws. Lang Xiao barely dodges. It taps the lion's paw and vanishes in a flash of speed, momentarily stunning his opponent. He reappears behind the lion, his mentor's voice echoing in his thoughts. He was taught that wolves cannot win with brute force. Their path to victory lies in overwhelming speed and explosive power. To be so fast that the enemy can't deliver a blow. Channeling this lesson, Lang Xiao unleashes his full speed, electricity crackling around him as he lunges for the leader's neck, knowing one bite is all he needs to win. But the leader dodges with contemptuous ease, again mocking his speed. Lang Xiao's attack misses, shattering the arena floor and sending a shockwave through the stunned audience. The crowd murmurs that Lang Xiao is incredibly strong and might actually be a rival for the leader. Lang Xiao stands panting amidst the rubble, having gone all out. But he's horrified to see Shiquan is completely unharmed, his energy not the least bit weakened. A feral grin spreads across Lang Xiao's face. This incredible challenge only fires him up more. He lets out another defiant howl and launches himself into a relentless barrage of attacks, chasing the lion around the ring. The crowd is confused, but Gyugyo knows the leader isn't this weak. She closes her eyes to focus her senses, and with her companion shielding her from the noise, she perceives the truth. Lang Xiao seems to have the upper hand, but he's channeling ambient energy for each attack, causing his power to diminish over time. The leader's energy, however, is overflowing, stable, and immensely dense. The horrifying reality dawns on her. He's been hiding his true strength all along. Lang Xiao grits his teeth in frustration, realizing the lion leader is toying with him, using an evasive strategy to drain his energy without a real fight. The blatant arrogance infuriates him. This is an insult to his strength. Letting out a defiant howl, Lang Xiao channels his energy, his form shifting as a golden aura erupts around him. He understands that victory will go to whoever takes this more seriously, and in a flash of determination, he vows that the leader will pay for underestimating him. He becomes a blur of motion, launching a flurry of attacks so fast the spectators can barely follow. They wonder if this is just a distraction to find an opening, worried he'll burn through his reserves too quickly. An observer confirms their fears, noting that Lang Xiao's energy is nearly depleted, forcing him into one final, desperate push. The lion leader, Shiquan, is secretly impressed by this explosive power, recalling that just last year Lang Xiao couldn't even last 5 minutes. The wolf lunges again, his movements raw and powerful, but Shiquan has already seen through his attack pattern. He muses that while one lethal move would end this now, Lang Xiao's terrifying rate of improvement means he could be a true threat in a few years, a possibility Shiquan refuses to allow. He decides to crush this budding threat here and now. As Lang Xiao aims for his neck, the lion roars, swiping a massive paw to crush his skull. But Lang Xiao vanishes in an instant, reappearing above and slamming a powerful strike down onto the lion's head, sending him crashing into the arena floor. Seeing his opponent dazed from carelessness, Lang Xiao surges forward, believing a single strike to the belly will secure his victory. The lion roars in alarm, and just as Lang Xiao's claws are about to connect, a blinding golden light erupts from his body. The crowd gasps in shock. The leader has broken through, achieving energy materialization. A massive shockwave blasts through the stadium, sending Lang Xiao flying back, a deep, bleeding gash now torn across his shoulder. A man comforts a terrified Gyugyuo, explaining that the leader's breakthrough likely saved Lang Xiao from a fatal blow but has sealed his defeat. The crowd murmurs in disappointment, realizing the match was almost won. Gyugyuo cries out for the clumsy wolf to stop pushing himself, her voice filled with concern. Shiquan, now wreathed in overwhelming power, declares the game is over and that he won't hold back this time, roaring for Lang Xiao to prepare to die. Facing this immense power, the wounded Lang Xiao collapses, recognizing the fight was lost the moment the breakthrough occurred. With his last bit of strength, he concedes the match. But as Gyugyuo frets over his wound, Shiquan's eyes glow with a predatory red light. He decides this is the perfect moment to eliminate his rival for good, while he is at his weakest. He lunges with murderous intent, but his jaws snap shut on a wooden stick just inches from his target. A man from the stands has intervened, blocking the path and coldly reminding the leader that the match is over. Shiquan spits the stick out in fury. The fight is officially declared over, with Shiquan as the winner. Lang Xiao stands, wondering how he was saved, certain he heard Gyugyuo's warning moments before the final attack. He questions what kind of person she is to perceive danger so keenly. At that moment, Gyugyuo herself leaps from the stands in a panic, and Lang Xiao moves instinctively to catch her. He holds her close, overwhelmed by the thought that he almost lost everything and became alone again. He now has a home and someone who cares for him. Feeling his emotion, Gyugyuo clings to him, promising to always stay by his side. She touches his back and recoils, exclaiming that he has a massive gash, not just a scratch as he claims. He was nearly cut in two. Her genuine worry makes him happy, and when she playfully bites his ear to scold him, he pulls her into his arms, declaring that his feelings for her will never change, no matter who or what she is. The crowd watches the intimate moment as the other challengers withdraw, cementing Shiquan's victory. Elsewhere, an old beastman seethes, frustrated that his plan to eliminate Lang Xiao failed, now realizing with chilling clarity that the key to his rival's strength is his female. Amidst congratulations for the old leader's victory, Lang Xiao's hand whips across the man's face with a resounding smack. A shocking display of disrespect that immediately gives way to a calculated apology. Lang Xiao claims he's sorry, explaining to the man he calls Brother Wolf that a sudden level-up caused him to lose control, a near-fatal accident. While the leader accepts the excuse and speaks of relying on the younger generation, Gyugyuo mentally seethes, knowing Lang Xiao is a two-faced liar who struck him on purpose. The pleasantries are cut short when the leader suddenly pivots, accidentally stabbing Lang Xiao in the back with a piece of sharp sugarcane. Gyugyuo shrieks in terror, warning Lang Xiao that the old lion is trying to kill him, but the leader simply plays dumb, offering her the sugarcane and asking if it's hers. He crouches down, his gaze intense, noting how small she is and asking if she sensed the danger and moved to protect her male, impressed by her intelligence. Lang Xiao's face tightens with worry, realizing the leader has taken notice of Gyugyuo. He quickly tries to dismiss her actions, claiming she gets excited easily and throws things without thinking. But the leader isn't convinced. After Gyugyuo throws another piece of sugarcane at him in a fluster, the leader's eyes narrow with suspicion, his mind connecting her behavior to legends from an ancient history book about prehistoric human females. Believing she cannot belong to Lang Xiao alone if she's truly that intelligent, he decides she must be investigated thoroughly. With the tension mounting, Xingyao scoops Gyugyuo up and carries her away from the tense gathering. Alone with him by a tranquil pool, she finds the empty pavilion boring, until her eyes land on the water, which is filled with a fortune of transparent crystals. Ecstatic at her luck, she decides to take them all, reaching her hand towards the water's surface. Seeing her interest, Xingyao begins to explain that this is the holy water platform, a sacred place where wishes made with crystals are said to come true. He offers her a single crystal to make a wish, but Gyugyuo has other plans, diving headfirst into the pool with a huge splash. Xingyao panics, yelling for her to get out and warning her that the cold water is dangerous for her since she's on her period. He offers her 2 stones as a compromise, but she refuses, determined not to miss this opportunity. He pleads for her to come closer so he can lift her out safely. But as he reaches, she lunges forward and plants a firm kiss on his lips. The act stuns him into silence, just as Lang Xiao and the leader turn to see the commotion. The leader smirks, remarking on how intimate Gyugyuo is with his teammate, causing Lang Xiao's expression to darken with fury. Taking advantage of Xingyao's frozen state, Gyugyuo pulls away and taunts him to catch her as she goes for the crystals. The poor bear is left blushing and shaking, misinterpreting her desperate ploy as a confession of love. As he whispers that he likes her too, Gyugyuo is thrown into confusion, finding his love-struck expression disturbingly similar to Lang Xiao's. Ditching the bewildered bear, she dives underwater to collect her prize, where a horrifying realization dawns on her. She had always seen Lang Xiao as her owner and Xingyao as her nanny. But if that wasn't true, could Xingyao be her partner too? The thought is unacceptable. She only wants Lang Xiao, just as she is consumed by regret over her reckless kiss. A pair of strong arms pulls her from the water. It's Lang Xiao, his face etched with concern as he asks why she's playing in the holy water, completely oblivious to the romantic catastrophe she just caused. Lang Xiao glares at Xingyao, his voice dripping with ice as he orders him to wring out Gyugyuo's clothes so she doesn't catch a chill. Xingyao's protests are met with a furious slap, as Lang Xiao roars at him for letting Gyugyuo play in the water while she was on her period, threatening to have him fired from the administration bureau. The words stun Gyugyuo, the threat of dissolving their family relationship over this sends her mind reeling. She clutches a handful of ice, confused about what being a nanny truly means in this world. An older, lion-like beastman steps in to de-escalate, telling Lang Xiao to calm down. He explains that Gyugyuo kissing Xingyao was a sign of affection, which is good for family harmony and something to be encouraged. He places his hands on them, declaring them all family, a statement that only deepens Gyugyuo's bewilderment. As Lang Xiao carries a tired Gyugyuo away, she feels a shudder of unease. Xingyao is told to reflect on his actions, but the word family echoes in Gyugyuo's mind. The grim reality of the beast world's gender ratio hits her. Polyandry is not just possible, it's expected. Xingyao waves goodbye with a charming smile, but Gyugyuo is lost in thought, desperately hoping she's overthinking things. Lang Xiao's voice cuts through her worries, reminding her of the crystals she fished out. He tries to take them, but she panics, clutching them to her chest and wailing that she worked hard to get them. Just then, an annoying voice interrupts them. It's the bad lion Yu, wondering why Gyugyuo is so wet. He's with another girl, Yuan, and her caretaker. He invites them to his nearby house to change clothes and have food. But Lang Xiao's eyes narrow with hatred. He hasn't forgotten that this man kidnapped Gyugyuo before. Inside Yu's home, Gyugyuo observes Yuan, thinking their relationship seems normal enough. She considers questioning the girl, who supposedly has the IQ of a 5-year-old. But her plan is interrupted when Yuan tries to steal her fruit. Yu laughs at the sight of the two females squabbling, and challenges Lang Xiao to a spar, eager for some action. He grabs Lang Xiao's arm, but Xingyao intervenes, telling him they're leaving now. Suddenly, Gyugyuo offers a grape to Yuan, who happily eats it. The other beastmen's hearts melt at the adorable scene, but Lang Xiao is immediately suspicious of her sudden change in behavior. He watches her closely, realizing Gyugyuo is observing his reaction. Seeing his chance, Lang Xiao smirks and agrees to spar with Yu, telling the other beastmen to get ready. As they all head to the courtyard, leaving the two females alone, Gyugyuo immediately gets down to business. She holds up a fruit and asks Yuan if the beastmen are her nannies or her partners. Yuan only seems to understand the offer of food, completely frustrating Gyugyuo, who silently fumes that she could out-argue anyone in kindergarten when she was 5. Before she can try a different approach, a kangaroo beast arrives, and Yuan runs into his arms for an intimate embrace that is clearly not just a caretaker's hug. Gyugyuo is horrified, the nightmare of being forced into polyandry with countless partners flashing before her eyes. Later, she hides in the bathroom, but her peace is shattered by Yu banging on the door, furious that someone locked Yuan's private bathroom. Lang Xiao rushes to the scene, thinking Gyugyuo is trapped. He calls out her name, but the only response is the sound of a toilet flushing, something they believe a female wouldn't do herself. The door opens to reveal a stunned Gyugyuo, and the beastmen stare in utter shock, realizing she used the toilet all by herself. Gyugyuo immediately puts on a pitiful act to maintain her cover, and Lang Xiao smoothly takes the credit, boasting that he taught her well. His victory is short-lived, however, as Yuan suddenly wets her pants, dripping all over Yu. Gyugyuo looks on with disgust at the poor care this supposed high IQ female is receiving, screaming internally that she can't live like this. as they prepare to put a thicker diaper on Yuanyuan's. Lang Xiao ponders how a female like her could be so incapable while Gyugyuo is so different. He catches a glimpse of Gyugyuo's intelligent, calculating eyes as she turns away, and a smile touches his lips. He knows it's time to finally uncover her secret. The bonfire festival rages with the thunderous beat of drums, a magnificent celebration that leaves Gyugyuo in a state of absolute awe. She runs through the crowds with a pack of cubs, so full of life that Lang Xiao can't help but notice her boundless energy, even right after her period. His companion agrees she looks much healthier now, prompting a pointed question. Will Lang Xiao have cubs with her now? Lang Xiao grows serious, explaining that a month has passed and the center is tracking their progress, warning that trouble will brew if she doesn't get pregnant soon. Internally, his desire for a family with Gyugyuo burns fiercely, but a shadow of doubt lingers. There's something he must confirm first. He keeps his concerns to himself, deciding that no matter what he discovers, his path is set. 8 days later, the festival's energy is a distant memory as Gyugyuo sits exhausted at the breakfast table in Lang Xiao's home. She silently curses the leader's challenge that led to her agonizingly painful cramps. The crystals she ate offered some relief, a cool energy flowing through her. But she's bitterly disappointed they did little to boost her spiritual power. Everything seems to be going wrong and all she wants is to be left alone. Lang Xiao explains to his friend Xingyao that she's just weak from her long period, but assures him that with proper care, she'll recover soon. Annoyed by their hovering, Gyugyuo snaps that she's fine and just wants some fruit. Seeing her wariness, Lang Xiao announces he will go out of the city to find nourishing fruits for her body. When he adds that he'll go with Xingyao after she finishes eating, a spark of pure joy lights up Gyugyuo's eyes at the sudden, glorious prospect of freedom. As she feigns sleepiness to get them to live, barely containing her excitement for a happy day all to herself. Lang Xiao laughs at her terrible acting, pinching her cheek and warning her not to cause trouble before he and Xingyao depart. Once they're gone, Xingyao worries about leaving a female alone, but Lang Xiao confidently states he's made preparations to ensure her safety. Back at the house, Gyugyuo makes sure they're far away before dropping the act entirely. She chugs a drink and a wicked grin spreads across her face as she declares it's time for her true self, Bai Yue, to rule again. She leaps onto the bed, ready to finally let loose, gleefully enjoying the simple pleasure of using the bathroom with the door wide open. She decides to indulge in everything Lang Xiao normally forbids, unaware he's watching her every move on a secret holographic monitor. Lang Xiao nearly spits out his drink in shock, wondering if this carefree, chaotic girl is Gyugyuo's true self. He watches, utterly mesmerized, as she cleverly sets a trap to catch a chicken, expertly prepares it in the kitchen, and pops it in the oven, humming happily all the while. From a private room, he reflects on her intelligence, admitting she's far smarter than he ever imagined. Her simple yet ingenious trap surpasses anything a beastman who only knows brute force could conceive. He recalls his own painful failures at hunting and marvels at her success. He's plagued by questions. Who taught her to cook like this, a skill completely foreign to the beast world? What secrets is she hiding about her past? The oven dings and Gyugyuo pulls out a perfectly roasted chicken, its color and aroma simply divine. She takes a massive bite, yelping as the heat sears her tongue but continuing to chew in blissful delight. This is the champion of chickens, so delicious she can't stop eating. Watching her devour the meal, Lang Xiao gulps, tempted to rush back for taste. He stops himself, resolving to feign ignorance. He decides he must wait for her to trust him enough to reveal her secrets on her own. But his patience is tested when, after finishing the chicken, she opens the fridge and pulls out a fresh dragon fruit he'd been saving. His eyes widen in alarm. That fruit isn't for eating. Gyugyuo, however, is in heaven, proclaiming that fresh fruit is infinitely better than roasted. A sudden beep at the door makes her freeze. Lang Xiao is back, panicked by his unexpectedly early return. She hears his frantic footsteps and shoves the remaining fruit into her mouth. The door bursts open and Lang Xiao roars for her not to eat it, but he's a second too late. Lang Xiao finds half of the dragon fruit gone and immediately erupts in panic, shouting for Gyugyuo to come to him. Gyugyuo, seeing his furious expression, shrinks back in fear, wondering if he's about to hit her. But as a wave of nausea hits her, she realizes her stomach is bloated, likely from eating the cold fruit too quickly. Lang Xiao's panic overrides any anger, and he instantly scoops her into his arms, declaring that he's taking her straight to the hospital. Gyugyuo tries to reassure him that her tummy doesn't hurt and a hospital visit is unnecessary, but her words are lost on him. He's already in overdrive, promising they'll reach the hospital in 10 minutes. Stunned by his extreme reaction, Gyugyuo clings to him, wondering why he's more nervous now than when she was bitten by a pitcher plant. Lang Xiao bursts out of the house, roaring into the sky that he's bringing Gyugyuo for emergency treatment. Meanwhile, at the hospital, Dr. Bao and his colleague are perplexed by the frantic call. assuming Gyugyo must have been poisoned again. Their confusion is short-lived as Lang Xiao barrels into the building, bellowing for everyone to get out of his way. Gyugyo's stomach feels increasingly bloated and tight, and Dr. Bao is shocked to see how much her belly has grown in just a few days. Lang Xiao frantically explains she ate a raw dragon fruit 10 minutes ago, a statement that sends the entire medical staff into high alert. The doctor orders them to prepare the intensive care unit as they rush her onto a hospital bed. Gyugyo's eyes widen in terror when she hears them preparing gastric lavage tools, horrified by the prospect. A sharp, sudden pain lances through her stomach, and she retches uncontrollably. The staff holds her down, while the doctor forces a pill into her mouth, ordering her to swallow it. Despite the horrible taste, she forces it down and immediately vomits the entire contents of her stomach into a bucket. As she weakly looks into the container, her expression turns to one of pure shock, for inside is a writhing mass of glowing green tendrils. Later, the doctor informs Lang Xiao that all the seeds have been cleared out but notes that based on their germination, Gyugyo must have eaten the fruit at least half an hour ago, not 10 minutes. Lang Xiao realizes with dawning horror that the roast chicken she ate must have accelerated the seed's growth rate, cursing his own carelessness for forgetting such a vital piece of information. The doctor berates him, not only for his faulty memory but for having a team too small to adequately care for her. Lang Xiao snaps back that it has nothing to do with him, but the doctor fiercely retorts that as her personal physician, anything affecting her health is his business. And he vows to report the incident to the Beastman Sustainable Development Center for an official assessment. Lying in her hospital bed, Gyugyo feels weak and hungry, silently cursing the clumsy wolf for not warning her about the fruit, a mistake that led to her suffering through the horrible gastric lavage. Lang Xiao enters and gently tells her she needs to stay on in Roman 4 for the night since her stomach is still recovering. At the mere thought of fruit, she shakes her head violently, declaring she'll never eat it again. He feels a pang of guilt, admitting to himself that his carelessness was to blame and her safety is the most important thing. Suddenly, a holographic notice appears in the air, informing them that center staff will be arriving for an inspection tomorrow. Gyugyo immediately panics, realizing they're probably coming to force more males on her. Amused, Lang Xiao asks why not, suggesting more males like Xingyao would be good. The image of another boisterous bearman fills her with dread, and she vehemently protests. Her passionate refusal makes him smile, as he mistakenly believes it's a sign of how much she likes him. He pats her head, promising that for her sincerity, he won't add any new members, which only makes her blush and call him shameless. Their moment is shattered when Xingyao bursts through the door, loudly demanding to know how Gyugyo is doing. Lang Xiao immediately blocks his path, shushing him and reminding him that Gyugyo needs to rest. He quietly admits to Xingyao that he was the one who let her eat the fruit and made him promise not to say anything at the hospital, thinking to himself that Gyugyo's secret is his alone to know. He then gives Xingyao a stern order: clean the house perfectly before the inspection, warning him of the dire consequences if the center staff finds anything unusual. The next day, Gyugyo returns home to an immaculately clean house, amazed at how thorough Xingyao was. And just as they settle in, the doorbell rings. It's the inspector from the center, a serious-looking man with bull horns. He bypasses any pleasantries and begins a thorough assessment of their home, inspecting everything from the chicken coop outside to the bedroom and the contents of the refrigerator, ultimately giving them a high score of A. Lang Xiao, growing impatient, tries to dismiss him, but the inspector stops him cold. He announces that their team is too small and they must add more members, pulling up a holographic list of recommended candidates. To Gyugyo's utter horror, the list is filled with menacing-looking beastmen, a boar, a hyena, a gorilla, and a mandrill, who look more like creatures meant to ward off evil spirits than potential mates. The pressure mounts on Gyugyo as an official presents her with a list of candidates, telling her to hurry up and choose a new mate. Cowering behind Xingyao, Gyugyo panics, not wanting to choose at all. Lang Xiao's face hardens with cold resolve, stepping forward to shield her and promising she won't be forced into anything. He and Xingyao stand united, ordering the official to turn off the display, furiously stating they don't need any new team members. The bull-horned man scoffs, arguing that two males can't possibly care for a female, reminding them of the bloody lesson from the day before. Lang Xiao snaps back that it was an accident that won't be repeated, but the official insists that adding members is the only solution. Fed up, Lang Xiao tells Xingyao to show their guests out, but the official erupts in anger, calling him incorrigible and threatening to report him to the leader, who will force new members on them by law. Lang Xiao calmly dissects his threat, pointing out the law only applies after 3 months of marriage if the female isn't pregnant, and they've only been married for 1. His eyes narrow with suspicion as he accuses the official of abusing his power for personal gain. The official sputters in denial, claiming it's just advice. But Lang Xiao pulls Gyugyo close, his voice dangerously low as he declares that her wishes are more important than anything. He threatens to escalate the matter to the leader himself, confident they will win. Defeated, the official steams with rage, giving them a final ultimatum. If Gyugyo isn't pregnant in 2 months, she will be forced to choose. Later, soaking in a bath, Gyugyo feels the weight of this absurd demand, realizing this world is truly insane. Despite the pressure, she admits she's been happy here and wants to protect this new home. Lang Xiao is also lost in thought, worried that Gyugyo's secret will be exposed if more beastmen join their household. He regrets even taking in Xingyao and vows he won't let anyone else join. He slips into the bath behind her, gently caressing her face and promising he won't let those men into their house. He then offers to wash her back, a playful glint in his eyes. Gyugyo gets flustered as he splashes around, internally calling him a clumsy wolf who doesn't understand anything. He smirks, calling her naughty, and gently moves her hair aside to begin washing her shoulders. He begins to gently scrub her back, his touch sending shivers down her spine. She squirms, exclaiming that it tickles, wondering what's gotten into him. Lang Xiao leans closer, noticing her ears have turned bright red. Flustered beyond belief, Gyugyo yelps and splashes away, declaring she's done washing. He laughs, then his expression turns serious as he reminds her that tomorrow is City Founding Day, the most important festival for beastmen, commemorating the day their ancestors sealed away a great evil and built their city. Gyugyo is lost in a steamy dream, a vivid fantasy of Lang Xiao asking if she likes him. She wakes with a start, her face burning as she realizes it was just a dream, blaming the clumsy wolf for his strange words the day before. Lang Xiao is already awake and greets her, presenting her with several beautiful dresses he made, calling them wedding dresses for their big day. Utterly bewildered, Gyugyo grimaces and turns away, leaving Lang Xiao confused by her reaction. Gyugyo panics internally, realizing she can't look at him without strange images flooding her mind, and resolves to stay away from him for the day. She makes a run for it, but Lang Xiao calls after her, telling her the zipper on her onesie is still undone. Just as she reaches the door, a group of beastmen force their way in. A large, blonde beastman glares at Lang Xiao, furiously reminding him of their agreement to visit each other and accusing him of turning his back on them after only a few days. The tension is thick as the lion beastman tries to bring his child, Yuen, over to play, but the dark-haired captain forbids it, coldly stating that beastmen who have hurt Gyugyo are not welcome. Despite his stern warning, the child throws a tantrum, demanding to see Gyugyo right now. Just then, Gyugyo herself runs out in a cute blue onesie, thrilled to see her friend. Lang Xiao follows, attempting to manage the situation by smoothly telling Yuen that Gyugyo is too busy to play. But his plan shatters when Gyugyo grabs his hand, insisting she's free and they should all play together. Seeing how close the two are, the lion beastmen suggest their families should interact more, but Lang Xiao's expression darkens at the idea. The other beastman immediately proposes a duel to settle their differences while the females play inside, causing Lang Xiao's power to flare with irritation. As the sun sets and the guests finally leave, the captain notes how unusually attached Gyugyo was to Yuen, clinging to her and begging her to stay the night. The intense hug they share is a strange sight, and Lang Xiao's eyes narrow with suspicion, wondering if she's actively avoiding him. He sends her to her room, and she flees, slamming the door and curling into a ball of anxiety. Alone, Lang Xiao reflects on his lonely life, having lost his entire family in battle, and how meeting Gyugyo changed everything. Yet, a deep frustration gnaws at him. He doesn't understand her true thoughts and fears his attempts to protect her are only making her more terrified. He desperately wishes he knew what was going on inside her head. As if hearing his thoughts, Gyugyo pushes her door open and walks toward him. She stands before him ready to speak, but her mind flashes back to a horrible memory of revealing a secret that caused her parents to be consumed by darkness, abandoning her as she pleaded for them not to go. The trauma of being left alone for being different haunts her. Seeing her hesitate, Lang Xiao gently tells her she must be tired and offers to bake her fruit. But she stops him, her voice suddenly clear and firm. She declares she is done pretending, she can speak normally, her mind is sound, and she is not like the other humans here. She takes a massive gamble, confessing that she likes him and wants to face him as her true self. The silence that follows is deafening and panic floods her system. She fears he's disgusted, maybe even planning to turn her over for research. Her hope crumbles as she decides she'll have to run away again. But Lang Xiao shatters her despair with a furious roar, vowing he will never hand her over to anyone before pulling her into a powerful, protective embrace. He gently explains that he understands her fear, acknowledging the danger she's in, and thanks her for trusting him, promising that as leader, he will ensure she can finally be free. Overwhelmed, she calls him a clumsy wolf and hugs him back, assuring him that she trusts him completely. Later, he asks about her past, triggering a wave of painful memories she can't bear to relive. Seeing her distress, he softly tells her to forget the bad memories, promising they'll make new, happy ones together. Her face softens and she offers to share her fruit with him. The simple act brings them both immense joy, and she impulsively gives him a quick kiss on the cheek. The innocent gesture ignites a spark between them, and Lang Xiao pulls her into a deep, passionate kiss. He asks if she's ready, and with her consent, he lays her down on the bed. Outside, a sudden scream rips through the night, and the captain downstairs freezes in shock. He smells blood and storms up the stairs, only to see Lang Xiao rushing out with an unconscious Gyugyuo in his arms, ordering him to watch the house as he takes her to the hospital. The captain steps into the room and his eyes land on the bloodstained sheets. His mind leaps to a horrifying conclusion: Lang Xiao is abusing her. The door to Gyugyuo's hospital room slides open as a frantic doctor Leo bursts out, demanding to know how she's doing. He is absolutely appalled, having never seen a female so badly hurt during mating, and angrily asks her mates if they even bothered to use any softening cream. Lang Xiao is taken aback, utterly confused by the question, which only infuriates the doctor more, who can't believe he hasn't even taken the basic female care course. Lang Xiao stiffens, insisting he's finished all the courses and knows the textbooks by heart, but he sheepishly admits there was one thing he skipped: the mating guide tutorial video, which he deleted, thinking it improper for a beast like him to watch. Dr. Leo erupts in a fiery rage, screaming that this is the most crucial knowledge of all and ordering him to download and watch it immediately. Pushing past them, the doctor checks on Gyugyuo, who lies crying in her hospital bed, whispering that she feels like she's dying. Dr. Leo explains to her concerned mates that upon examining her, he found her body is different from other females. There's something extra, something growing inside her. A wave of pure terror washes over Gyugyuo, her mind racing with fears of a serious illness. Her mates demand answers, and the doctor reveals the shocking truth. It's a hymen, an anatomical feature only found in ancient human females. He explains that after 2,000 years of evolution, modern females no longer have them, but Gyugyuo does, a stunning case of ancestral reversion. The medical implications are staggering, and Dr. Leo is ecstatic, believing she could be the key to improving the quality of all females. But Gyugyuo hears only a death sentence. She realizes with dawning horror that Dr. Leo wants to use her as a lab rat to torture her until she wishes she were dead, and knows she must escape with Lang Xiao at once. Lang Xiao's expression darkens, a menacing aura flaring around him as he growls that he will never agree to such a thing. Xingyao stands with him, his own power simmering as he warns the doctor that no rumors about Gyugyuo will be tolerated. Dr. Leo feels their combined killing intent, a cold sweat breaking out as he realizes they intend to silence him permanently. He quickly backpedals, claiming his words were just guesses and that he wanted to discuss his desire to study her privately, framing it as a discovery that could benefit the entire beast world. Lang Xiao considers this and, with surprising calm, agrees on several conditions. The research must not harm Gyugyuo or leak her secret, all results must be shared with them, and no one else can participate. They seal the deal with a handshake. Later, back at their home, Xingyao's rage boils over as he declares his intent to kill Dr. Leo, arguing that dead men can't talk. But Lang Xiao stops him, calmly slicing a piece of fruit while explaining that murder is a foolish plan that would only land Xingyao in prison. He points out that killing one doctor is useless, as others would simply take his place, and anyone who examines Gyugyuo will discover her secret, leading to an endless cycle of killing that would only attract more attention. Xingyao despairs, asking what they can possibly do if her information is bound to be exposed. Lang Xiao's eyes gleam with cold resolve as he reveals his true plan. He will defeat the current leader, Shi Quan, and take his place, for then no beastman in the world would dare to touch Gyugyuo. To achieve this monumental goal, he must first gather enough energy for the upcoming leader's challenge. So he tasks Xingyao with staying home and protecting Gyugyuo while he goes out to train. Lying in bed, Gyugyuo feels a pang of despair, wishing she were strong enough to help. The next morning, she wakes in pain, remembering the healing crystals they acquired. As she eats one, feeling a slight relief, her mind drifts back to the previous night, when she told Lang Xiao how eating the crystals was helping her recover and even strengthening her spiritual power. She confessed that she needed more, determined to get strong enough to protect their home alongside him. Lang Xiao, deeply moved by her resolve, promised to take her to the holy sacrificial altar at the next ceremony, vowing that he would handle any crisis that arose. Her memories are interrupted when Xingyao enters the room, informing her that Lang Xiao has left to train and that he'll get her breakfast. Gyugyuo feels a knot of anxiety form in her stomach at being left alone with him, but her discomfort turns to sheer panic when he suggests he should wash her up and change her bandages. A flashback to the previous night shows Lang Xiao warning her to be wary, admitting he doesn't fully trust Xingyao yet. He cautions that some beastmen take advantage of a captain's absence and that things are different now. He tells her to be careful while he's gone, promising to keep an eye on the house. Back in the present, Gyugyo recoils from Xingyao's offer, shouting that she can do it herself and slapping his hand away. Just as he tries to calm her, a call comes in from Lang Xiao. His holographic projection appears, bruised and bloodied from training, his voice sharp as he demands to know what Xingyao is doing. After hearing the explanation, Lang Xiao curtly states there's no need, as he's prepared a self-cleaning toilet for her and will apply her medicine himself when he returns. He then reassures a worried Gyugyo that his wounds are just plant sap before ending the call. Xingyao is left momentarily stunned, wondering how Lang Xiao knew his intentions so precisely. He then turns to Gyugyo and offers her baked eggs. But she brightens with an idea, offering to make steamed egg custard instead, explaining her human recipe of adding water and salt. Though confused, Xingyao agrees, happy to see her smile. He watches in amazement as the liquid egg mixture solidifies in the oven, a sight completely foreign to him. Gyugyo beams, playfully asking if he's never had something so delicious before. Gyugyo offers Xingyao a taste of her food, a simple gesture that sends his heart pounding in his chest. To him, this isn't just food. It's a declaration of love, a profound showing of affection that makes him blush furiously. He leans in and eats it directly from her hand, much to her surprise. Gyugyo stares in bewilderment as he munches away, declaring it delicious, not even minding that he ate the eggshells along with it. She can only think what a weirdo he is, but for Xingyao, this is the second time she has given him a gift. He tenderly recalls the first, a piece of camphor wood she secretly gave him before he even joined the team. A piece of wood he now considers his life's most precious treasure. Gyugyo is utterly baffled by this revelation, realizing with dawning horror that in the beast world, a female giving food to a male is a confession of love. She panics internally, realizing she never meant to confess, she just felt sorry for him. Later that night, she lies in bed, consumed by the massive misunderstanding she's created. She needs to tell Xingyao the truth, but can't bear to hurt the kind-hearted bear. Her thoughts drifting to the clumsy wolf Lang Xiao, wondering when he'll return. A sudden clack of the door opening startles her, and she hears whispers telling someone to keep their voice down so as not to wake Gyugyo. Peeking out, she is met with a horrifying sight. Lang Xiao is covered in grievous injuries, far worse than the simple plant sap he'd claimed. She rushes out, her heart aching as she touches his bandaged wounds, asking if it hurts. He tries to play it cool, saying getting injured during training is normal for beastmen who recover quickly. To distract her, he proudly shows off his prize, a brilliant red fire attribute crystal. He explains its immense power, how it will allow him to achieve energy materialization, but warns that only those with a fire attribute can handle its energy without exploding. Gyugyo is appalled when she learns he ventured deep into the forest alone to take down a plant that a team of 20 couldn't handle. She erupts in a mix of fear and anger, telling him he could have died for his recklessness. Lang Xiao calmly explains his desperation, stating that the leader's challenge is only 11 months away, and this is his only shortcut to grow strong enough to win. He pulls her close, promising that now that he has her, he will always cherish his life. 5 days later, Lang Xiao is still pushing himself to the brink, and Xingyao reports that while Gyugyo has recovered, Lang Xiao is returning late and covered in injuries every single day. He also mentions that the 5-piece bedding set Lang Xiao ordered has arrived, and Gyugyo became so angry upon seeing it that she nearly tore it apart. Annoyed by Xingyao's meddling, Lang Xiao dismisses him and enters his room. He finds Gyugyo wide awake, sitting on the edge of the bed. She points a trembling finger at a leather strap lying on the mattress, demanding to know what he's planning to do. He simply states that it's a 5-piece bedding set meant for mating. Gyugyo recoils in shock, accusing him of having a twisted fetish. He then pulls out an instruction manual for scientific mating, explaining that while normal beastmen only need 4 pieces, wolves require an extra one around their waist, all to prevent the female from getting hurt. Horrified at the thought of being tied to the bed, she pushes him away, but he cries out in pain from his injuries. He then looks at her with pleading eyes, saying he regrets hurting her last time and wants to follow the instructions properly, which includes using aphrodisiac and softening cream. She retorts that he's the one hurting himself every day and needs to rest. But he grabs her hand, insisting he's in perfect health and begging her to just try it. Reluctantly, she applies the cream and is immediately overwhelmed by a strange heat spreading through her body. Seeing her reaction, Lang Xiao suggests that to be safe, they should use the 5-piece set. She vehemently refuses, telling him not to even think about tying her up. Instead of the straps, he gently places a collar around her neck. And before she can protest further, he pulls her into a deep, passionate kiss. Gyugyo awakens to the crow of a rooster, her body aching with exhaustion from the previous night's activities. A blush creeps across her face as she sees Lang Xiao, the white-haired beastman, tied up in bed beside her. She playfully reminds him that this is what he gets for trying to tie her up first, a little payback for his naughtiness. He sighs, admitting it's his fault, and begs her to untie him. But as she tries to move, a jolt of panic hits her. They are somehow stuck together, an intimate and embarrassing predicament. Later, they sit in awkward silence at the breakfast table, the tension thick enough to cut with a knife. Another beastman, Yao, enters holding a strange device and asks if the captain is sure he wants to throw it away. Lang Xiao dismisses it as useless, bitterly recalling how they needed Yao's help to get them unstuck. A mortifying flashback reveals the moment Yao had to intervene, pulling them apart while Gyugyuo writhed in humiliation. The memory is too much. She flees the table, her mind reeling at the bizarre anatomy of beastmen. Overwhelmed, she lets out a scream of frustration and runs headfirst into Yao's chest. He panics, asking if she's hurt, but his concern only fuels her shame. She wishes the earth would swallow her whole as she runs away again. Lang Xiao decides a change of scenery is in order, dismissing Yao's concerns and taking Gyugyuo out to clear her head. At a clothing store in the goddess mansion, he tries to appease her by offering to buy anything she wants, but his clumsy attempt only makes her angrier. A meter shows her anger level at a solid 100%. Undeterred, he tries everything: toys, a slide, and snacks, and slowly her rage begins to subside. While resting in a public area, some other beastmen are startled by the nearby plants, though their fears are quickly dismissed. Suddenly, Lang Xiao's voice cuts through the air, ordering them out of the way. His menacing aura sends the other beastmen scrambling in terror, leaving Gyugyuo to wonder if he's truly that frightening. Now alone, Lang Xiao encourages her to speak her mind, asking why she's so angry. The question brings back the morning's shame, and she can't bring herself to answer. He bluntly asks if she was upset about him asking Yao to help them unlock, causing her to flush a deep red. He tries to explain it's natural in their world, but she finally snaps, shouting that she's a normal human and can't accept it. Seeing her genuine distress, Lang Xiao's demeanor softens completely. He gently promises not to force her or ask for outside help again, his only wish being her happiness. His sincerity melts her anger away, the meter dropping to 0. But in the next breath, he casually suggests they'll just have to unlock themselves by mating again that night, sending her anger right back to 100%. Before she can explode, a sudden sense of dread washes over Lang Xiao as the supposedly domesticated plants around them erupt with violent energy. The danger is quickly contained, and a medic confirms Gyugyuo is merely shaken, not injured, as Lang Xiao holds her tight. The incident is bizarre. The plants across the city have gone mad, despite the protective seal being recently reinforced. Lang Xiao realizes something must be wrong at the altar and declares they must investigate. There his fears are confirmed. The great altar flames, once blazing, are now a dying ember, a clear sign the seal is failing. As Gyugyuo clings to him in fear, he sets her down, telling her to wait while he gets fuel to reinforce the seal. He kisses her, promising to return soon. Left alone, Gyugyuo is distracted by the nearby holy water pool, deciding to collect some of the clear crystals within. But as her hand enters the water, a mysterious voice calls out a name, Bai Yue, and a glowing hand emerges from the depths, declaring it has finally found her. A luminous vine wraps around her wrist, pulling her from her thoughts. She stares at the strange plant now attached to her, a chilling sense of familiarity washing over her as she wonders how such a thing could exist in the sacred pool. A tranquil dip in the holy water shatters for Gyugyuo as a vision of a long-haired man materializes before her very eyes. Her mind reels, certain she must be hallucinating, and just as quickly as he appeared, the man vanishes into shimmering particles. Panic grips her as she scrambles to escape the pool, convinced she's dealing with something supernatural and deeply messed up. Crying out for help into the empty room, she tries to rationalize it away, telling herself there are no ghosts, only monsters that have become spirits. But that thought is no comfort as she thrashes in the water, desperate to get out now. Her thoughts race back to the banyan tree spirit, wondering what new horror this is. Suddenly, a familiar blue orb of light emerges from the water, pulsing with a faint voice that calls her by an old name. Yu. The orb pleads for her to save it, and the sound triggers a cascade of painful memories. She remembers being a young girl named Yu, joyfully playing with her best friend, the orb she called QQ. But her parents saw only a child talking to herself, their faces etched with worry as they decided to take her to a psychiatrist, even mentioning a sanatorium if she didn't get better. One day, QQ bounced against her window, eager to play outside. Knowing her parents would forbid it, she decided to climb down the drain pipe from the second floor, sure they would never know. Her escape was cut short by her parents' horrified screams as they burst into the room just as she climbed out the window. The consequence was swift and harsh. Her father boarded up the window with a hammer and nails. Her mother confronted her, demanding to know why she would do something so dangerous. But when Yu tried to explain it was QQ's idea, her mother's face twisted into a mask of fury. She shrieked that there was no QQ in this world, grabbing the terrified girl and accusing her of being a liar. As her mother's rage escalated, Yue cried out for Kyukyu to go away and leave her mommy alone. Her mother finally collapsed, sobbing and asking why this had to happen to her daughter. Seeing her mother's despair, Yue quickly lied, claiming she hadn't seen anything and trying to offer comfort while secretly motioning for Kyukyu to hide. That night, her father ominously promised to take her somewhere she would be okay. That place was a sanatorium, where she was strapped to a table for her first session of electroconvulsive therapy. She screamed for Kyukyu, begging it to appear and prove she wasn't sick, but her friend never came, leaving her to wonder if she had been abandoned to suffer alone. Back in the present, the weight of that betrayal fuels a new wave of rage as she glares at the orb. She screams at it to stay away, accusing it of disappearing when she needed it most and demanding to know what it wants now. She roars that she won't be caught again and orders it to get lost. Her frantic cries attract two beastmen who rush in, sensing she's in danger. One of them, Lang, leaps into the pool and grabs her from behind, trying to calm her down. The ordeal ends with Gyugyuo unconscious in a hospital bed, where a doctor explains to Lang that her records show she has a history of mental illness, and her outburst was likely an episode. A chilling despair settles over Gyugyuo as she lies there, realizing she can never escape this fate, forever haunted by the friend who ruins her life. But Lang refuses to accept it, fiercely declaring that she's not sick and needs no treatment. Just as the argument escalates, Gyugyuo awakens, calling out for her Wolfie before leaping into his arms. She whispers that there was a big, scary buggy in the water. Lang immediately seizes the excuse, telling the doctor that she simply panicked over a bug. The doctor observes her seemingly normal behavior and concedes, speculating her past trauma might be from escaping a dangerous organization rather than a mental disorder. He clears her to go home, and as Lang holds her tight, Gyugyuo breathes a silent sigh of relief, inwardly praising her own quick wit for dodging another bullet and gratefully squeezing the arm of her favorite Clumsy. In the quiet aftermath of a traumatic event, Lang Xiao gently combs Gyugyuo's hair as she rests in bed, preparing food for her with a quiet tenderness. He presses her for the truth, knowing she lied to the doctor about seeing bugs in the holy water pool. Gyugyuo finally admits she was terrified by a hallucination, a vision so real it shook her to her core. Lang Xiao's eyes darken with worry, speculating that the protective barrier around the area must be weakening. With a shudder, Gyugyuo declares she will never go back to that pool again. Her mind races with the terrible truth. The holy water pool is the site of her old house from 2,000 years ago, a past she desperately wants to escape. She resolves to forget it all and cherish her present with Lang Xiao, who pulls her close in a comforting embrace. He agrees it's too dangerous and offers to retrieve any crystals she wants himself, but as she gets up to check on their food, he grabs her wrist and pulls her into a deep, possessive kiss, his passion suddenly overwhelming her. He whispers that Dr. Leo gave them some methods to try, his intentions clear. Half a month later, however, the mood has soured. Xingyao serves Lang Xiao a drink, questioning why Gyugyuo still isn't pregnant. He offers a folk remedy found online, a grim reminder that they have less than a month left, while Gyugyuo finds a moment of peace feeding chicks outside. Lang Xiao watches her with a hardened gaze, vowing that he will absolutely not allow those beastmen into their home. Concluding that there's only one way, his frustration boils over and he smashes the glass of remedy against the table in a fit of rage. The fragile peace is shattered when Xingyao bursts in with urgent news. Lang Xiao roars his name, his voice filled with grim resolve, and makes a shocking declaration. Xingyao will be sleeping with Gyugyuo tonight. Gyugyuo freezes in disbelief as Lang Xiao snatches a bowl from a stunned Xingyao and shoves the bear beastman directly into her. Outraged, she screams at the clumsy wolf for pushing her onto someone else. Lang Xiao coldly informs Xingyao that her anger is directed at him, and he must get ready. A blushing Xingyao naively believes Gyugyuo must like him because she once gave him food. Lang Xiao restrains a struggling Gyugyuo, reminding her that they are out of time, and this is the only way to keep the other beastmen away. He tries to reason that Xingyao is also her partner, but she slaps his hand away, pokes him in the chest, and warns him not to regret his decision. A wave of self-loathing washes over Lang Xiao. He curses his own weakness, lamenting that if he were stronger, he wouldn't be forced to push his beloved onto another man. His anguish erupts as he punches the wall, the impact cracking the stone. Alone in her room, Gyugyuo seethes, acknowledging that while multiple partners might be the norm in this world, she refuses to accept it. Her defiance is interrupted by a knock. Xingyao enters, wrapped only in a towel. He awkwardly explains he's been prepared for a while, causing Gyugyuo to panic and plot her escape, misinterpreting her frantic dash for the door as a sign of affection. He scoops her into a hug, completely oblivious to her terror. She screams for him to get off her bed, tears of fear welling in her eyes as she desperately searches for an exit. Trying to calm her, Xingyao presents a small, ornate box, opening it to reveal the piece of tuna which she had once thrown at him. He explains he saw it as a love token and couldn't bear to eat it, saving it for this very moment. Disgusted, Gyugyuo snatches the wood from his hand and hurls it at the ceiling. Xingyao dives for it, terrified it will break. He begs her not to throw it again, but with cold fury in her eyes, she winds up for another pitch, ignoring his desperate cries of her name. The wall shatters as Xingyao bursts through, confronting Gyugyo. He asks if she dislikes the Toon Wood toy, but his question is met with a furious scream. She shrieks that she hates the toy, and even more, she hates Barry. The word hate echoes in Xingyao's mind as he staggers back, the horrible truth crashing down on him. It all makes sense now. Her constant avoidance wasn't because their connection was weak, it was because she never liked him at all. Gyugyo looks away, apologizing for hurting him but thinking to herself that a short, sharp pain is better for everyone. As she tries to walk away, he lunges forward, grabbing her arm and pulling her into a desperate embrace. He buries his face in her shoulder, tears streaming down his face as he pleads that just being by her side is enough. Gyugyo panics, realizing Xingyao is losing control, and suddenly cries out as a sharp pain shoots through her stomach. He instantly lets go, his eyes wide with concern, asking what's wrong. Just then, the door bangs open and Lang Xiao storms in, demanding to know what Xingyao did to her. Xingyao frantically insists he did nothing, that they hadn't even started. Lang Xiao scoops Gyugyo into his arms, declaring he's taking her to the hospital while Xingyao insists on following. On the way, Gyugyo angrily bites Lang Xiao's arm. He holds her close, apologizing for what he did and promising that if they can't have children, he'll take her away to find a safe place just for them. At the hospital, the doctor states the initial checkup shows no problems. Lang Xiao argues she must be pregnant, but the doctor refutes it, pointing out she just had her period and shows no symptoms. This, Lang Xiao reveals, is precisely why he arranged for her and Xingyao to be together, a confession that earns him a furious glare from Gyugyo. The doctor suggests an ultrasound, but when Lang Xiao reaches for her, she slaps his hand away, screaming not to touch her. Internally, she vows to burn his house down if he ever tries to force her on Xingyao again. Realizing he's gone too far, Lang Xiao silently resolves to make it up to her. During the ultrasound, the doctor confirms her organs are perfectly healthy, and Gyugyo mentally sighs in relief, thinking her act worked. But suddenly the doctor gasps, urging them to be quiet. As he moves the probe, a stunned silence fills the room. He turns the screen to them and offers his congratulations, announcing that Gyugyo is pregnant. Lang Xiao is in shock, unable to believe it, but the doctor explains that early pregnancy bleeding can occur. He reveals she's carrying 3 cubs. Gyugyo is speechless, realizing 3 lives are growing inside her, and the doctor offers to let them hear the heartbeats. The rhythmic thumping fills the air, and a wave of pure joy washes over Gyugyo as she realizes she's going to be a mother. Lang Xiao is ecstatic and she happily embraces him. The doctor smiles, noting that Gyugyo truly likes the cub's father. But standing to the side, Xingyao's face is a mask of sorrow, wondering where he fits into their newfound family. Later that night, Lang Xiao approaches him, stating they need to talk. Sitting at the table, Lang Xiao cuts to the chase, telling Xingyao it's time for them to part ways. Xingyao leaps to his feet in protest, roaring that he's done nothing wrong. Lang Xiao calmly agrees, explaining that the problem is his own jealousy. He admits he can't bear the thought of another male possessing Gyugyo and won't endure that pain. As compensation, he offers Xingyao half the team's contribution points to start a new life. But Xingyao's rage explodes, his bare form manifesting as he bellows that this is his home and he's not leaving. Lang Xiao's eyes narrow, his own power flaring as he retorts that it's not up to him, his claws extending with deadly intent. Lang Xiao delivers a cold ultimatum, declaring that if Xingyao refuses to leave, he'll be beaten into submission. As captain, Lang Xiao holds absolute authority, even the power to kill a team member without consequence. His eyes glow with menace as he suggests Xingyao take the compensation and go quietly, sneering that there's no place for him in this family anymore. Rage boils within Xingyao as he clenches his fist, the wood of the table cracking under the pressure. His inner beast roars to life, and with newfound determination, he growls that he'll risk his life to fight, believing he might not lose to the captain after all. Their auras clash in a violent explosion of energy, the sound jolting Gyugyo awake in her room as she wonders what's happening outside. Realizing their fight could frighten her, Lang Xiao proposes they move to the courtyard. But Xingyao's aggression melts away at the thought of Gyugyo. He pleads with Lang Xiao, questioning why he's being kicked out when there are no new recruits to take care of her. He begs to stay, his voice filled with despair as he confesses he can't imagine his life without seeing Gyugyo anymore. He clasps his hands, arguing that no one knows how to care for her better than he does, making him the best option. His plea is so desperate it visibly moves him. Lang Xiao internally concedes the point. Xingyao is the most suitable person, but he knows that as long as the bear stays, he'll have a chance to win Gyugyo's heart, an outcome Lang Xiao will not allow. Just then, the door creaks open and Gyugyo appears, complaining that they woke her up. Lang Xiao quickly concocts a lie about an exploded light bulb, and seeing his opportunity, he relents. He tells Xingyao he can stay for now and orders him to clean up the mess. A wave of relief washes over Xingyao as he whispers his thanks. Lang Xiao clarifies that this is temporary. He is already recruiting new members, and Xingyao's offer to leave with half the contribution points remains open. Later that night, alone in his room, Xingyao stares at a small wooden block. A painful memory of Gyugyo's past anger flashing through his mind before the block cracks in his palm, making him gasp in shock. He gently places the broken token into an ornate box and lies down, haunted by a tender memory of Gyugyo smiling at his bedside. A single tear escapes his eye as he clutches his aching heart. The next morning, he prepares breakfast for Gyugyo, who can't help but notice how exhausted he looks. She feels a pang of guilt, now understanding his kindness wasn't just that of a nanny, and the complicated situation leaves her feeling tortured. Their breakfast is interrupted by Lang Xiao, who arrives with a new beastman in tow. He introduces the man, Hu Xing, as a temporary team member recruited to help care for Gyugyo. The words hit Gyugyo like a lightning bolt, and the watermelon in her hand cracks as she realizes Lang Xiao has found her yet another husband. In the kitchen, Hu Xing eagerly asks Xingyao what he can do to help. Xingyao is immediately suspicious, worried the newcomer doesn't know the rules about forbidden meat and could get them all in trouble. To get him out of the way, he sends Hu Xing to give Gyugyo some sugarcane juice. Hu Xing leaves with a triumphant smirk, thrilled at the chance to be alone with her, while Xingyao watches him go, vowing to keep a very close eye on him. Gyugyo is furious, confronting Lang Xiao and demanding to know if he has some kind of fetish for finding her husbands. Lang Xiao calmly explains that Hu Xing is just a temporary caretaker for when he's away training, adding that this will give Xingyao a reason to leave with peace of mind. Gyugyo protests, worried about being left alone with the strange fox, but Lang Xiao assures her the beast laws are strict, and more importantly, no one would ever dare to mess with his female. Soon after, Hu Xing enters her room with the juice, leaning in with a charming smile. Gyugyo is immediately put off, thinking he doesn't seem like a proper beast at all. As she sips the juice, she notes his spiritual body is surprisingly faint. Hu Xing smirks, noticing her stare, and leans closer, patting her leg and asking if she thinks he's good-looking. His brazen question catches her so off guard that she spits her drink directly into his face. Gyugyo's morning is shattered by the new fox beastman spraying sugarcane juice on her, a petty act that only deepens her disdain. She internally scoffs at his smug expression, finding him utterly unreliable and nowhere near the level of her Lang Xiao. Xingyao, the loyal bear beastman, appears at the sound of the commotion, but Gyugyo dismisses it, calling the fox narcissistic. His presence is a comfort, a wall of safety she desperately needs. Yet her heart is troubled. She knows she can't return his feelings and must not become too reliant on him, trying to convince herself she's fine on her own in the supposed safety of her home. But the new fox, Hu Xing, is undeterred by her coldness, deciding to deploy his ultimate weapon of seduction, his tail. He confidently nuzzles his fluffy tail against her, certain that no female can resist its charm. A trick that has worked on countless others before. His confidence shatters when Gyugyo grabs the tail not in adoration, but with the cold calculation that its fur would make a fantastic winter scarf. Reeling from the shock, Hu Xing grabs her hands, declaring it's his turn now, and leans in to touch her with his mouth, a creepy threat that makes her skin crawl. A terrified scream for Barry echoes through the house, and Xingyao bursts in, brandishing a kitchen knife, his eyes blazing with protective fury. Gyugyo scrambles behind him, accusing the perverted fox of being a creep. Hu Xing sweats, trying to downplay his actions as a simple tease gone wrong. But Xingyao smells the distinct scent of fox fur on Gyugyo. His voice drops to a menacing whisper, warning the fox to keep his tail to himself. But as Gyugyo processes the events, she murmurs that Xingyao kissed her, an accidental touch in his haste that sends the bear into a fiery panic, realizing the immense trouble he's in. The next morning, Xingyao's rage explodes as he chases the fox out of the house in a blur of motion. The fox, now in his animal form, wonders if the bear is just finding an excuse to get rid of him. Gyugyo watches from her balcony, stunned by Xingyao's raw speed and destructive power, a chilling realization dawning on her that their home offers no real protection against such beasts. Xingyao catches the fox and slams him into the ground with enough force to shatter the pavement, roaring that touching Gyugyo is an unforgivable crime. He returns to Gyugyo, assuring her the threat has been dealt with, but she is deeply shaken. The display of power reminds her of her own vulnerability, how easily unruly beastmen could break through any defense, leaving her unable to protect even her own child. She tearfully admits that if she must have a beastman protector, Xingyao is the only one she can trust. Sobbing at the unfairness of a world so dangerous she can't even live in peace with Lang Xiao. Her tears reignite Xingyao's fury, and he turns to finish the fox off for good. But Gyugyo stops him, insisting the pathetic creature isn't worth it. Xingyao complies but delivers one last, terrifying warning to the fox trembling on the fence. If he dares set foot in the courtyard again, he'll be chopped up and fed to the chickens. Despite the threat, the arrogant fox, Hu Xing, remains perched on the wall, refusing to be intimidated. His defiance is met with a silent, overwhelming show of force, as Xingyao effortlessly uproots a massive bundle of bamboo and begins peeling it for Gyugyo, a clear message of dominance. Gyugyo watches, a sense of deep reassurance washing over her. Just then, a familiar chime announces Lang Xiao's early return. Hu Xing sees his chance, immediately playing the victim and crying that Xingyao tried to kill him, forcing Gyugyo to rush out and declare him a liar. Lang Xiao calmly halts them both, stating he knows exactly what happened, before summoning a nervous Hu Xing to him. The fox spins his tale of woe, but Xingyao furiously counters, which only prompts Hu Xing to mock him, claiming Gyugyo prefers playing with his superior tale. Listening to his lies, Gyugyo seethes with rage, fantasizing about shaving the predator's tail bald. Hu Xing smugly tells Lang Xiao to check Gyugyo for his scent, but his words are cut short as Lang Xiao's hand snaps around his throat. With eyes burning with crimson fury, Lang Xiao reminds the fox that every move was being watched, snarling that he hadn't listened to a single word of his warning. The bear beastman watches in a haze of self-reproach as Gyugyo carelessly tosses a fox tail into the fire. Remembering with a pang of guilt that she was being bullied by Hu Xing just for fun, his heart aches with the thought that he should have stayed by her side, especially while she was pregnant. It was all his fault. As he stews in regret, Gyugyo insists she doesn't need help, that she can burn it herself. Suddenly, the door bursts open with a tremendous bang, and Lang Xiao storms in, furious at the broken door and scolding the bear beastman for being a spendthrift. He demands they put out the fire, calling the fox fur dirty, but the bear beastman calmly asks if Hu Xing has been detained. Lang Xiao confirms it, stating he has evidence that can't be denied. Gyugyo scoffs, wondering if he installed a security camera, but Lang Xiao's anger shifts back to the bear beastman, chastising him for bringing home temporary team members without understanding their character first. He warns him of the dangers of having men with bad character around females. The bear beastman gently takes Gyugyo's hand, telling Lang Xiao he doesn't need to be in such a hurry to find someone, for he can protect Gyugyo himself. His only goal is to take care of her, a promise he vows to keep with gritted teeth. Hearing his resolve, Lang Xiao relents, promising not to look for temporary team members anymore. He notes that the cubs will be born in a month and a half, and he plans to train them well so they can protect their mother. As the wind begins to pick up, darkening the sky, Lang Xiao gives a final warning. The white bone vine has been unusually active, so Gyugyo must be careful and stay away from the plants. A month and a half later, at the hospital's central garden, two beastmen discuss how strange it is that the seal has remained stable for 2 months. They fear its last outburst might mean it's dying, which would leave Peace City overrun by plants and them all homeless. Nearby, the bear beastman gently shoos away some playful cubs, reminding them not to bother the females who are about to give birth. Lang Xiao supports a heavily pregnant Gyugyo who is struggling through contractions. He tells her Dr. Liu said walking would speed up labor, suggesting they continue for 5 more minutes. But a sudden searing pain rips through Gyugyo, and her water breaks. She's going into labor. They rush her to the delivery room where Dr. Liu declares only one family member can enter. Lang Xiao doesn't hesitate, leaving the bear beastman behind as he supports a trembling Gyugyo who is terrified by the intensity of the pain. He desperately asks the doctor if there's anything to relieve her suffering. Relief washing over him when they offer a painkiller shot. He holds her close, promising he's right there with her. Outside, night falls. As the bear beastman paces anxiously, his heart twisting with every scream he hears from the delivery room. He can't understand why she's still in so much pain after the shot. He glances down, startled by a rustling sound, and his eyes widen at the sight of glowing plants sprouting from the floor. He sniffs the air, detecting the impossible scent of plants. And a horrifying realization dawns on him as he peers down the hallway to see it being completely consumed by the writhing tendrils of the white bone vine. And just as chaos erupts outside, the first cub is finally born inside. Soon, all 3 are delivered, and the exhausted Gyugyo feels she could sleep for 3 days straight. But a strange sensation prickles at her senses. She feels an unusual spiritual entity nearby. She's too tired to investigate and immediately collapses into Lang Xiao's arms. Lang Xiao carries her out of the room, only to find the bear beastman covered in viscous plant slime. The bear beastman explains that a large patch of the white bone vine had grown in the hall, but he's dealt with it. Lang Xiao nods grimly and carries Gyugyo away, who stirs slightly at the strong smell of plant sap. Later, after the hospital staff cleans up the mess, Gyugyo wakes in her room to find Lang Xiao and the bear beastman presenting her with a basket of 3 strong newborn wolf cubs. She's in awe, gently patting a tiny soft paw, while the two men watch over her, already making plans for the cub's future. She holds one of her children close, filled with a profound sense of love and motherhood. Once they are asleep, Lang Xiao asks the bear beastman about the vine's eruption. The bear beastman recounts how the vines, though weak, reproduced at an incredible rate, forcing him to transform to block them. He reveals the strangest detail. The wildly growing vine withered in an instant, right after the cub's first howls were heard from the delivery room. This confirms the vine's recent behavior is highly abnormal. As they speak, a citywide broadcast shows their leader declaring the vine's manifestation powerless, assuring the public there's no need for alarm. But his words have the opposite effect, sparking widespread panic as citizens scream about escaping to the capital, convinced their city is doomed. The lion leader's voice booms, demanding silence as his power rumbles through the arena. He scoffs at the idea that the white bone vine is dead, declaring its lifespan exceeds 10,000 years. He assures the panicked crowd that as long as he stands guard, the seal will remain unbroken. Watching the broadcast, a beastman remarks on the leader's immense power, confirming the rumors that the title grants incredible strength. But his white-haired companion, Wolf, is lost in thought, his expression grim as he wonders about the true source of that power. The world fades into a dream, a memory of a young, lonely girl named Gyugyo learning about symbiosis in nature. She remembers being abandoned by her parents, finding solace only in a strong friend she called Kyukyu. But Kyukyu couldn't leave home, and Gyugyo was left alone, trapped in a terrifying sanatorium. Shadowy hands reach for her as a voice calls her for treatment, and she screams in defiance, refusing to go. Just as the darkness closes in, a figure wreathed in golden flames descends. It's Wolf, his presence a beacon of hope as he gently lifts her and whispers that they are going home. Gyugyo awakens in a hospital bed, the lingering warmth of the dream still clinging to her. She can't recall waking up, but a strange peace settles in her heart. The sound of soft meows draws her attention to a crib where two tiny cubs lie sleeping. A wave of emotion washes over her as she tells them she's their mommy. The irony not lost on her that she, once a lonely child, could now give a new life. She jumps out of bed, a sharp twinge of pain a minor distraction, and pulls open the curtains to let the sunlight stream in. Just then Wolf enters, his eyes immediately locking onto the small, glowing vine in her hand. Pure panic flashes across his face as he roars for her to drop it, identifying it as the dreaded white bone vine. He snatches it from her grasp, his voice harsh as he forbids her from ever touching such a plant again. Explaining it's a twisted thing from the ancient human world, he tells her of its horrific history, how it preyed on females, torturing them until the ground was littered with their bones. He commands her to run if she ever sees it again. Instantly regretting his outburst, he softens, apologizing for his anxiety and pulling her into a desperate hug. But Gyugyo's mind is reeling. The vine is identical to one her mother planted, right when she first met Kyukyu. The horrifying connection clicks into place. The white bone vine is Kyukyu. She remembers Kyukyu's cries for help from the holy water pool, trapped and sealed away just like she was in the sanatorium. A surge of desperate resolve fills her and she grabs Wolf's necklace, insisting she must go to the pool right now. Wolf quickly concocts a lie for his concerned friend, claiming Gyugyo merely has a stomachache. While Gyugyo plays along, clutching her stomach and begging for the transparent crystals from the ritual grounds. He agrees to take her next month, puzzled by her sudden change of heart. Later, while attending a postpartum care class, Wolf is warned to keep Gyugyo away from anything she hates to protect her emotional state. At that exact moment, the lion beastman saunters in, the one person Gyugyo despises most. The lion man mockingly congratulates Wolf, complaining about his own futile search for his mate while envying Wolf's new family. Wolf coldly tells him to get lost, but the lion grabs him, claiming he has something important to say about Gyugyo. Ignoring Wolf's suspicion, the lion beastman leans in close, a predatory glint in his eyes, and whispers a vile proposal, a game of swapping females. A blonde beastman leans in close, whispering a vile suggestion to Gyugyo about a game of swapping females. But before he can finish, the captain explodes into motion, sending the degenerate flying through a solid wall with a single, furious kick. The captain's rage is a cold fire as he internally vows to beat that scumbag every single time he sees him, his protective instincts on high alert now that he realizes just how dangerous the other males are. Later, finding Gyugyo's clothes are wet, he tells her not to move while he helps her change, but his gentle intentions are violently misinterpreted when Xingyao smashes through the door with a flying kick. Xingyao roars, demanding to know what the captain is doing and accusing him of trying to make a move on Gyugyo too. The misunderstanding is quickly cleared up in the hospital room, where the three newborn cubs are happily drinking from bottles filled with Gyugyo's milk. The captain smiles, relieved that the nutritious chicken broth he prepared helped her produce so much milk for the cubs. Xingyao sheepishly explains he was only trying to change Gyugyo's wet clothes so she wouldn't catch a cold. but the captain chides him for being too rough and scaring her right after she gave birth, much to Gyugyuo's intense embarrassment. Suddenly, their bickering is cut short when the youngest cub begins to choke violently. While Xingyao panics, the captain calmly takes control, demonstrating how to hold the cub and pat its back until it's breathing smoothly again. As he holds the tiny creature, he notices something strange, a patch of brown fur on its chest. He tries to rub it off, thinking it's a stain, but it's part of its coat. A cold dread washes over him. His silver wolf bloodline has no brown genes, and the only one with brown fur is Gyugyo. His mind flashes back to his own childhood, remembering his mother explaining that beastmen sons only inherit their father's genes. He recalls another family where a white-furred son was born to a red-furred father, explained as a genetic throwback due to an albinism gene. He remembers asking his own father if being different was a bad thing, only to be told that a genetic throwback could also mean inheriting great power.